problem.
All right. So we're live now. Go at it however you want to start it.
All right. So what we've been talking about is the fiasco happening on the game World of Warships concerning the Christmas gift that World of Warfare has been graciously nice enough to give us, and everything's going crazy because the um, the reso- people spent a lot of gold to basically get an edge in the game so that they could get the Puerto Rico for free. And now people that have played the game a lot more intensely than I have or Dominic has have come to the resolution, or they've recognized that there's no blankety blank way that you're ever going to complete it for free.
Oh, you can swear if you want. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, feel free.
So,
That's why I'm always swearing, dude.
about 5 or 6 weeks ago, a lot of the community contributors were talking about this new thing called the shipyard. That's great, right?
Yes.
So the shipyard is an awesome thing that World of Warships is put together, and it basically shows you a step-by-step creation of a ship. In this case, the USS Puerto Rico, sister ship to the USS Alaska, super heavy cruiser. It's a tier 10. But there's nothing telling you what your real progress is on the screen, and people would see these little power-ups that you can get in the beginning of the game that would boost their performance. At the same time that World of Warships would be presenting that if you only did you could simply do all of the directives, quests, missions, and you could easily get the ship done. Well, people look at it now, and I was mentioning before we went online that there are people smarter than me that are sitting there writing out Excel spreadsheets like they're going to business college, and they're showing what you would have to do to actually get this ship for free. And there's no way in fucking hell you're ever going to get this ship for free.
Not before the time runs out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See if they had done something smart and said, "Okay, here is the progression. You have the next year to do this." Oh, okay. It's still difficult, but yeah, the next year, yeah, I could do it. And then at the end of it, if they say, "Hey, it's a year later, you've only done 60% of it. Here's what we're going to do," like in World of Tanks, had the similar thing. We're going to give you a coupon for the Puerto Rico for 60% off the retail price.
That's pretty good.
So now, if you basically can't complete it in a year, you at least got a 60% off coupon that rewards you for your time.
No, that makes sense. Just so you know, I know it's unnatural, but look at that, not me, when you talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's like I get why you were doing it, but when people are watching that, they're like, well, what the fuck is he looking at when you're doing
Look
that?
around.
So the aspect of the dockyard is a visual representation of the building of the ship. And so as you invest gold or do directives, you will see how the progression of the building of your ship step by step. And even when you're not on, you're still building up value to your ship. Daily, you come back on, you get a little bonus. Sometimes you get extra flags, which are mission power-ups that you get each game. Sometimes you'll get little loot crates. Everyone's familiar with what a loot crate is. But for those who don't know loot crates, they're a way of the game giving you a reward for a task that you've completed, or
Number of battles.
a number of battles you've done.
Things like that.
It's like randomized stuff, or it's always the same thing.
Randomized.
It's randomized stuff.
Based on a list.
Yeah. So it could be paint, which would be like for camouflage, or flags for power-ups. Could be experience for you or experience for the captain.
Uh-huh.
Because captains of ships get experience too.
And then you're
So-
like what, the admiral or something?
Yeah, well, you run your ship, but there's a captain too. So the captain, if as the captain goes up in experience, you also get extra experience for you. So
Yeah.
the better he is, the more stuff you get.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah.
Cool.
I mean, are you the captain? Of course. I mean, it's just one ship.
So
So
the thing about the dry docks is, or repair yard, shipyard, whatever you want to call it, it is a freaking awesome aspect that World of Warship is doing. But I have a tendency of looking at the positive, of looking at the, wow, look what they've given us. Isn't this so nice? And I'm thinking, wow, you know, after this year, they could actually make this permanent. And every single time that you have a shipyard, that you're going to have a ship, like next time maybe they do the Texas, or next time they do some other ship. All the money you've already spent, the gold that you've spent, is already giving you the benefit in every future ship that you build. That would be hella cool, because, okay, yeah, it sucks that you had to spend so many thousands of gold over the year to get this, but now every ship from this point on that's going to go through this process, you have all the power-ups already built. Your dockyard is already set up. Your ship progression is going to be that much accelerated in the game. If they did that, that would be very, very cool. Will they do that? No frickin' way. World of Warships, to this point, has a reputation of being a rather good company that doesn't dick around a lot. We've been we don't have the reputation of like Ubisoft or EA Games or a lot of other ones that talk about like monetization of the loot boxes and
Monetization?
yeah. So
Oh, and also for those of you that don't know, World of Warships is actually run out of Russia.
yes.
It's a Russian company,
Mhm.
which, when you listen really carefully to some of the advertisements and things that they throw at you, becomes readily apparent.
And it also becomes apparent that the mentality, the Russian mentality, which I'm not saying is any good or bad, but the mentality of this is what you're going to do, and you're going to do it, and there's no changing it.
Very
You
stuck
know.
in their ways.
Well,
Yes.
call it the soup Nazi. In this case, it's going to be the game Nazi.
Uh-huh.
So
I have familiarity with
it's
that.
do it their way.
So,
Yeah.
to interrupt, what it sounds like, and I'm sure it is this is technically a free-to-play game, but
Yes.
they want you to invest money to
Yes.
play better or to get a leg up.
Yes.
So,
Well, they don't care. I don't think they really care that you get a leg up.
they just want to make money.
They just want to make money.
Ultimately, these companies, their whole point is to try to make money. I think
Exactly.
it's a business.
Yes.
So,
Of-
I
of
used to
course.
play a game, actually earlier this year, and I was just like, no, because I was recognizing a very
Oh.
bad pattern,
Okay.
which was that Undead Nation Last Shelter, and I really liked it. It was a really interesting idea. I loved the gameplay and just the creativity of it. It was basically, there's different things you can do in the game, but what it boiled down to was like essentially a tower defense, but it's opponent's troops or your troops going against people's setups in a tower sort of setting building. And you're trying to run up there, basically.
Like Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings.
Sure, I am not familiar with it, but
Or just any tower defense game.
yeah, I would describe it as a tower defense game. So, what happened was, I was trying it out. I was thinking about like, because this is when I was launching the streaming thing and everything. Like maybe 2 or 3 months after I had launched it, I was checking it out, and it was everything you guys are saying. Like the company was reputable for listening to its
Mm-hmm.
player base, etc. And I started playing. I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens when I actually put money into it, like considerable money, to see how far that money goes. So I put some money in it. I want to say like $100.
Wow.
And I was stuck at that point, and I was like, well, maybe this is so as far as you go, free to play. And then I put in $100, and it helped me a lot get to like another level. Like if it's broken up 1 to 10, I was stuck at 7. It got me up to 8. And then only after a month, they did a whole rehaul of the game. They started adding characters like every, I want to say, 1 to 2 months. And every character has their own special unique properties and abilities and stuff. So when they started doing that, like all the best stuff you had starts eroding in value. So I said, well, big changes can upset things, but let's see, because I really like this game. I'm going to do it one more time, and if this pattern continues, I already know it's never going to be enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in another $100 because I had actually pulled one of the best characters in the game, whose name is God, what is her name? Well, she dies and she becomes like a berserker zombie herself.
Okay.
It's just fucking crazy overpowered. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what $100 does. Your characters have different stats, and it basically took her to the top of the stats at the time before they added even more stats to the characters.
Yeah.
And it did help me like crush stuff and like go up to another level, but I was stuck there again. And it's like basically you have to keep just throwing in money at a higher rate than when I had first started playing, because when I first started playing, they had like their original characters and she was the new character. Okay, by the time I stopped, which was like I want to say maybe 3 months later,
Yeah.
they already added like 5 characters and they were adding more. And I was just like, I mean, do you expect me to spend like $400 or $500 a month on this game?
Yes.
You're telling me this game is worth more than a next gen system, actually like 2 next gen systems every month? It doesn't make sense. Like as much as I love the game and thought it was really creative and stuff, I was just stuck. Like I can't share this with my friends. I can't be like, hey, you guys want to play this awesome game? Like you'll be stuck.
We won't be
at
your
the
friends.
bottom. You'll be stuck at the bottom of the top of the game unless you start dumping insane amount of money. Like to me, anybody that expects you to spend even like $100 a month on a game is out of their fucking mind. Like,
Correct. I agree.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No.
Well, or at least if you want to buy the game, buy the game. Give that option.
Yeah, or that,
Give
like
the option.
just give us a option to pay a large lump sum and then that's
Yeah,
it.
and that So yeah, I mean there are some games that are there's a couple of golf games I play. One's like a mini golf game, and another one's an actual full course game. And to be honest, they don't. It's not an overcharge. I think total I've dropped
Links.
World Golf something.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I've dropped $5 on both. Each.
Wow.
On
How
both
much
of
do
them.
you play them though?
Every day.
Every day. Wow.
Yeah.
So
it's fun. I mean, I don't overdo it. It's kind of one of those games like, I'll be sitting at an airport and play the game and do stuff like that. But it doesn't. They don't constantly get on you for buy this and buy that,
Oh, yeah, no.
and they don't trap you. That's the good thing.
Oh.
At least I haven't gotten to a point where you are kind of trapped. But yeah, it's some of these. March of Empires is another one that traps you.
Yeah. Well, actually, to that subject, my question is: this is something that came up on the community boards, and people were discussing this stuff, and like almost nobody disagreed with me. Like, if you, as a company who you're in it to make money, and everything, you expect your players to drop like on average, like between $10 and $20 a month. That's not unreasonable, because that's like buying a new indie game. Not like a super brand name or anything, but like a new indie game every month. And like for people who are more serious about gaming, like $50 or $60 a month, that's like a brand new video game, for a regular console. I guess that's understandable too. But like, you're expecting people to drop like more than $100 a month on a free-to-play game. People are gonna stop playing your game, which is what happened with me. I was like, no, I'm just gonna keep sinking because you want me to spend too much money.
Well,
it's dumb.
Oh, I'm the opposite of that. Two primary games that I play: World of Warships and Latro, which is Lord of the Rings Online. I had never spent any money on Lord of the Rings Online until the Christmas special hit, and the Christmas special if I went what they call VIP, which is I paid for like a month of their premium access. Cost me $14. And for me, $14 on a game that I play ever so often is a little steep, but to other people, like I'm just hearing from, Jeff about how much money he spent, is nothing. But to me, it's a lot. So I play World of Tanks originally, and World of Tanks, I've dropped $40 on. I buy these things called doubloon cards, and doubloon cards are used to it's like game credits that you can basically use to upscale your vehicles, pay for researching fees to get better vehicles or better options of your vehicles.
It's just in-game currency to do stuff.
Basically, yeah. So, but that's the most I ever spent. In World of Warships, I've been playing it, and I'm going slow. I grind very slow, because what you're supposed to do, you've got, in World of Warships, you've got the British, the Russians, the French, the Germans, Pan-Asian, you got an Australian, you got Italians. What you're supposed to do is pick one tree, and in that tree you've got destroyers, battleships, cruisers, and carriers. You're supposed to pick one ship line, and then just focus on one ship line.
But you like to be a jack of all trades, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
I have almost every country and almost every ship line.
You disgusting animal.
Except carriers.
Why? What's the beef with carriers?
Carriers are not the same. Okay.
They're not on the same level as everything else.
No.
Are they a second-class citizen to you?
No. What it is, when you're playing a destroyer, you're in the ship.
Okay.
When you're playing a cruiser, you're in the ship.
Okay.
When you're playing a battleship, you're in the ship.
Okay.
When you're playing an aircraft carrier,
You're in the plane.
you are no.
Both.
Well, what you're doing
that's a good one. You got
is
me.
when you're in the carrier and you click, you basically open a separate window which shows the map, shows your carrier, shows all the other ships and the ones that you can see, and you basically maneuver your squadrons around the board. It's a more tactical demonstration.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get I'm sending my planes in to do a bombing run on this.
And the planes are automated. You just tell them where to go. And
You just tell them where to go.
Yeah, you can set up. It's like it's an automatic route. You can set your route.
So I think I understand. You like. So Dwayne likes to get in there and pew stuff. I would probably be the one to go over there and blow shit up while I eat some of this chili.
Yeah, the problem is if you're focusing on the planes,
Uh-huh.
somebody can sneak up on you on the carrier
Like
and
a
take it
destroyer.
out from underneath
Blow
you.
you up,
yeah, and torpedo you. So, you have to pay attention to two very busy things.
Oh, you have to multitask.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's just that it's a different style of gaming. I'll give you an example. One of the games, I think it's Atari, who did the original BattleTech, MechWarrior 4 Vengeance or MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries. So that game, you're playing a battle mech, a big robot, and you're walking around the battlefield, stomping on tanks, shooting down planes, blah, 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 but you're in the physical vehicle. They came out with a game afterwards called Mech Commander.
Okay.
In Mech Commander, you're playing a captain, sub-commander, that is basically directing a battlefield. And you're moving the units like they're little pieces on a board.
So to put it into more modern gaming terms, it sounds like you like being in the shooting aspect of this game, whereas the carrier and what you're describing with the Mech Warrior.
Mech Commander.
Yeah, that's like a tactics sort of thing, where you like when we're playing pen and paper, it's like almost like chess, more
Yeah.
like.
But it tends to be real time, or there may be a moderate turn-based aspect to it. But you are still trying to predict your enemy's movements and coordinate your own.
I mean, that's it. There's nothing. See, first off, there's nothing wrong with that idea. One of the original games. This will kind of date me here. One of the original board games.
Atari did it.
Okay. Slap. Was a game called Harpoon. So Harpoon, which is between the Warsaw Pact, which is Russia, if people don't know Warsaw Pact, and the United Nations, which is the Allies. NATO. You're playing a naval game where the Warsaw Pact or the Russian fleet is coming through the North Sea, and you're trying to break out into the North Atlantic to attack convoys and to disrupt NATO's different operations. Well, when I played it originally, it was a board game, not a computer game, and we had 3 teams playing it. One team was Warsaw Pact, one was NATO, and one was the referees. They were in 3 separate rooms.
There were 3 separate rooms on a board game?
Board game. 3 separate. They had one master board, and they had walkie-talkies. And what they would do...
Did the walkie-talkies come with the game?
No.
Oh, man. That's
But it was played to represent the point you're not going to have 100% visibility.
No, it's a really neat concept. I've
Until
never
it's
played
in
a game
front
like
of you.
that. Yeah.
So, what they would do is they would go on the United Nations player's turn, and he would go and place all his moves, and then he would give the cards.
And the refs were the one.
The referees would take the cards to the other room, and they would let the referees that were inside that middle room, they would move the ships around. They would look to see where the Warsaw Pact were, and they would make rolls to see if you spotted them. Sonar or radar, aircraft, patrol units, and then they would give you all that information. They'd write it all down, and then they would tell the referees in your game, and the referee would move the things around between turns. Now, the turns you would put your turn in, and it could take a half hour for a turn.
Holy shit. How long was your longest game?
Well, the games, they could last, 12 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Because this was a convention game.
That makes sense, yeah. I was going to say referees.
People don't know.
Sounds like competitive.
Plus, you're looking. 12 hours short, but in real life, it's 4 days worth of.
Or if that.
Real life.
Multiple days. There's no way you're sitting down and doing a 12-hour session.
So anyway, that's basically. I'm just trying to get at that. Different game styles, are neither good or bad. They're just different. And as gamers, we have to see what we like and play what we like. For example, what
So are we going into the GM talk now?
No, I'm just saying.
It's okay if we are.
Like what Jeff had mentioned about myself liking shooters. I primarily like to play battleships and cruisers. Because the tactics of the one-to-one ship is where I like it. It's more action-oriented. Whereas you got these people that just love destroyers. Fast, nimble. You can barely see them, and they rush in, drop torpedoes, spam you with high explosive attacks, and then run away. Maybe if they don't get.
Yeah, destroyers don't last very long in typically in a World of Warship game.
Unless they're very good.
Yeah, either they're very good or it's all just cruisers and destroyers, which you can get a battle like that. But yeah, if there's battleships involved and cruisers and destroyers are pretty much going to be the first to go.
Well, that's what everybody wants to destroy first.
Is that because they're the most dangerous or because they just go down fast?
Well, typically you'll find that one of the strategies is in order to avoid getting spotted, they'll hide behind an island.
Oh, okay.
And when they see, because once one of their shipmates, other ships, has a spot on a larger ship,
Right.
they see where that ship is too. So as the ship gets closer, they may pop out from the up behind the island, lay down about 6 torpedoes heading in your direction, and then turn around and get the heck away. That works once, So the whole concept of the great
Run and
plans
gun.
plans only last until the interaction with the enemy.
Yeah.
So once that first time happens, then they're playing basically help me, stay away, stay away.
Mhm.
Or they'll get to the point where they get so tired of playing stay away, they'll actually do a kamikaze run, drop all the torpedoes they can, and basically expect to be blown out of the water.
Yeah.
So, but that first time, you'll get the sneaky guy that hides behind the island and picks you off as you go by. And you won't see him until it's too late.
Another aspect is, just depending upon what country you're playing, each of the different weapon systems in the game have different trajectories. Like if you're an American cruiser or American battleship, the shots sometimes are slower and they have this lobbing quality. So technically, you could be behind a mountain or an island, have a destroyer out there
And you can shoot.
scouting.
You can shoot
Lob it
over
over
the
the island.
island and,
Yes.
and fucking 3-point them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the shells have a tendency of coming in from above, which can cause huge damage.
Which is death from above the shots.
Okay.
Now, you see, most ships, like German ships, a lot of German ships, fast, and they have shallow trajectories in their shots.
Okay.
Their shots don't lob over. They go very fast, and they impact, usually like the water line. Unless you are at a distance, then they come in. But they're still very fast and very shallow. So the Germans have their advantages. You can have ships that have great armor along their sides, but their deck armor is crap.
All right.
One of the aspects in the Germans is they have a thing called turtleback armor, and turtleback armor is angled. It's like having angled armor, like on the tanks. Having angled armor, you can have less armor but be stronger than somebody that has heavy armor, because your shots have a tendency of deflecting, making the shots ricochet.
And that's how they're faster.
Well, they're better defended against the lob shot. But
But
if you get another flat trajectory, like let's say German on German,
Okay.
you can come in on the side and nail them very well from the side, where their armor is really good on top. So they have what they call citadel shots.
Yeah.
So the citadel shots are the placement of the deck guns as well as the armory. So if you make a shot on the
and
armory
engines and
engines, if you make a shot on the armory with an armor-piercing round, you're going to get additional damage from the armor-piercing shot into the armor.
an example of that is, if anybody's ever watched the movie, and it's an old black and white movie called To Sink the Bismarck. The Bismarck, it's on YouTube, you can catch it. It's a quick movie. The Bismarck was coming out of the fjords near Sweden,
Okay.
and it was on its first run. It was trying to break out of the North Atlantic, into the North Atlantic, where the British were just holding on for dear life from getting supplies from the United States and
Okay.
Canada. And so what happens is the Bismarck and the Prince Eugen, which is a heavy cruiser, German heavy cruiser, they were coming out, and they ran into Her Majesty's best warship called the HMS Hood. The HMS Hood was what we call a battle cruiser. It's a fast battleship. It's basically got the speed of a cruiser, the guns of a battleship, and it's got the armor somewhere in the middle. But it was so huge, and the prestige, the national, everyone knew that this is a symbol of British naval power
Yeah.
since the 1920s. It was meant to defend itself versus German battleships of the Jutland War, which was 1917. So, as if they had been going against battleships and guns of the 1917 Jutland era, their ship would have easily bounced off shells. But they encountered the Bismarck. 44. Was it in 44?
No, it was
Or 43.
40, early 40, 41. It was
Okay.
very early in the war.
So what happened is the Prince of Prince of Wales, the King George, the new battleship called the King George V, which had a rookie crew, basically came in and was firing. It had 16-inch guns. I think they were 16s or 15s.
That time they were 15s. 16s came later.
Okay. Well, the King George should have led the way, but instead it was the Hood, because everyone knows the Hood's the ship of the line of the British Empire, and it basically came in, and what it was trying to do is the Bismarck had the superior guns, had superior radar, had superior armor, everything about the German battleship. They feared the Bismarck. And if that Bismarck got out, they took actually the whole British in Scapa Flow, which is a place where they keep the naval ships for England. They basically sent everything against them. They sent cruisers. They had the carrier. I think it was the Hermes or the Illustrious. I'm not sure. Anyway, so they attacked the ship. The Bismarck, it had 15-inch guns, but it was a little outgunned, but the guns were efficient. The guns were accurate. The fire control was state of the art because the ship had just been built. And so it basically started lobbing in sighting rounds around the Hood. And the Hood's commander realized that if it unloaded a 15-inch shell from the dropping from top down onto the ship, it would hit her deck armor. Her deck armor was, I think, at the most 6 or 7 inches of deck armor, and that's not 6 inches of solid armor. It's 3 little levels of armor, and so against most attacks, it was enough. It could deflect. It would your shots would hit it. The first layer would stop it. Would arm your fuse, and then you would go off, and the interior levels would cause your shell to blow up, and you would get minimum damage. Well, the 15-inch guns from the Bismarck could just lob in, and so that's why the Hood attacked and tried to get close, because they wanted the guns of the Bismarck to go level. Thus, the belt armor of the Hood.
Okay, I have to
okay.
stop you. So, I have so many questions here.
All right.
I don't know anything about boats.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
even know what's the difference between starboard and port. I'm hearing a lot of terms repeatedly that I don't know. So I have to pause you just so I can understand what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. So we have mentioned there's different types of armor.
Mm-hmm.
What are all the places that the armor goes? It's at the deck and the sides. Anywhere else?
That's typically it. You'll have deck armor. You'll have side armor.
What was this thing about belt armor?
Okay.
You said something about belt.
Okay. So the gist of that is that it's torpedo resistant.
So
typically torpedoes strike at the waterline or just below the waterline.
Oh, that's
so
why
the
it's called
belt armor will be
okay.
just slightly above and then below the waterline.
Okay.
And it's a belt that
It's
runs
like a
around
band.
the ship.
Okay, I
It's
got
a
it.
band that runs around the ship.
So
And that could be on the Jersey, it was up to 12 inches thick. Actually, I think on one of the battleships up to 20.
okay, so here's my next question,
Okay.
and you just actually kind of went into it. What is really thin armor versus really thick armor?
Okay. So you got plate steel, and then you have welded steel.
Crump steel too.
Yeah. Okay. So
Three types of
okay.
steel.
So basically, what
Or
it is
more.
ships are made out of plate steel. So
Okay.
your typical merchantman, things like that. It's just a hull. So and the hull, and it's typically less than an inch thick. So
Okay.
when you start adding armor, you have to add it strategically because weight becomes a consideration.
And then you sink, right?
And then
Everything's
too
weight.
much, yeah. So everything makes a difference. So typically, you want to armor up your most exposed stuff. So typically turrets are heavily armored because they have to be able to shrug off a hit and still keep firing.
Magazines and fuel.
Magazines and fuel. Your the propeller, not the the shaft of the propeller can be very exposed. There may be armor around that area, but typically from the sides, you're going to be looking at armor around where the main ship guns are, and the armory, fuel, and engine. That's where your armor is going to primarily be.
But see, here's the problem with that. Every country has a different way of thinking about it. For example,
clearly, yes, clearly.
World War II, the Americans had the all or nothing system for armor placement. That meant that they basically put a majority of their armor belt around the citadel. The citadel contains all the critical locations that don't like to have explosive things shoved into them.
Okay, I was about to ask, what is the citadel?
Fuel, armor,
ammunition,
armaments,
magazines.
Yeah.
Where your fire control systems, all your electrical generator locations. So the Americans believed in the all or nothing system. They basically tried to put their armor around the central belt, around the turrets, around the magazines. And so if you hit a ship, an American ship like you mentioned, the Iowa. The Iowa tier 9. Tier 9.
Okay.
Above it's Montana. So the tier 9 Iowa freaking fast battleship. Okay. Most of the battleships in the game, we're dealing with World War I technology, like the Hood, the German ship Bayern. He mentioned the cruiser St. Louis. It's called a protective cruiser.
Your favorite ship, huh?
Yeah, one of his favorite ships.
Built in 1905.
Yeah, it is. It had the armor. Anyway, so what happens is that each country has a certain idea. The Germans did turtleback armor. The Americans did all or nothing. So you can hit an American in the nose or in the tail of the ship, fore and aft. It's basically fore, aft, port, starboard. Right. So if you hit, there's locations where they might have 35 millimeters of armor in the front of the ship.
Sounds like a lot.
Okay, sounds like a lot. Then you go to the midships and you're hitting 350.
Okay, sounds like a lot more.
Okay, you're talking some of the turrets could have 400 millimeters.
Like a lot more.
so but 35 millimeters only an inch and a half.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
there's the metric conversion.
Yeah.
But the American ships were built for speed. The original battleships, like the South Dakota. That's the tier 2.
South Carolina.
All right, you guys keep talking. My cat
anyway.
wants me to pet her. I can tell.
Okay.
Well, you can keep talking.
Okay. So you've got a variety of battleships which basically were built. The whole concept of battleship really is a World War I concept. Before that was primarily cruisers and frigates, which were
HMS
small.
Dreadnought.
Yeah. So starting in just before World War I, about 1910, was the concept of the battleship. And so you had for the U.S. it was the Wyoming, the South Carolina, the New York. And then following in between there, so there was also between years.
Pennsylvania.
Because of the armistice for World War I, there was an agreement that only certain types of ships could be built, and which is the reason why when Pearl Harbor happened, there were so many World War I era ships in dock because a lot of them were being worked on. So they were all maintenance heavy. The Arizona was built in 1915. The Pennsylvania was built in 1912. So yeah, you had a lot of World War I era battleships that got sunk there.
Nevada, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So it wasn't until about 1941-42 where the more current battleships started hitting the ocean. So it took time for all that to be built. It's not that they didn't have the plans. In fact, they had been making plans for about 2 decades between World War I and World War II. It just they were not able to start building them until we actually entered the war. And the Washington Treaty ended.
Yeah, the Congress basically if it could have gotten rid of the United States Navy, it would have. The ship that everyone really talks about that at the beginning of the war was thought as a gimmick, which is the aircraft carrier, such as the sea tender USS Langley. It became the most powerful warship in the theater, and made battleships second rate.
Okay, hold. Sorry, I gotta stop again. So I know what a carrier is now, but we're talking about a lot of different ships. I understand they all have different purposes. What are the basic ships in this game, at least? You know, you mentioned cruisers. You said that's fast.
There's okay. In the game, the scout ships are the destroyers. They're anywhere from 2,000 tons to maybe 9,000, 10,000 tons. You've got cruisers that could be from 12 to maybe 20,000 tons. You got battleships that could be 15 to maybe 65,000 tons. You got aircraft carriers which could be 20 to maybe 35,000 tons. Usually the aircraft carriers were built on cruiser hulls, battleship hulls, basically because of the Washington Naval Treaty. It restricted how many ships can be built. Well, the only little thing is everybody found loopholes to the Washington Naval Treaty.
Which is what the carrier sounds like.
The carrier basically, you're gonna destroy X amount of ships because you want to abide by the Naval Treaty. Now, who's the only person or country that basically followed the Naval Treaty? The United States. The Germans basically said, screw it. We have a smaller navy. We want better ships. So where their battleships should have been limited, like the Tirpitz, the Bismarck, should have been limited to 25, maybe 30,000 tons. I think the Tirpitz and the Bismarck were in the 40s.
Yes.
Because there's light tonnage and there's heavy tonnage. And what the difference is that when you take a ship out and you're doing your sea trials, you basically load like a quarter of the fuel, and you load a quarter of the food and a quarter of this. So you're basically show how light your ship is. And you say, see, here's how heavy our battleship is. And then you go and do speed trials and say, see, our battleship just went 23 knots or 24 knots. Okay, knots is a rank of naval speed. Difference is 23.
1.2 miles per nautical mile.
So basically 25, 27.
A nautical mile is 6,000 yards. Or, I'm sorry, 2,000 yards.
So
6,000 feet.
So basically, the Americans followed it, but see, even the Americans didn't like the Washington Naval Treaty because they couldn't do anything. So what they did is they started mothballing and destroying the older ships and converting them to a newer class ship, the aircraft carrier. So they could use the hull of an aircraft carrier. They can use the hull of a cruiser. That we can't build any more cruisers. Okay, we'll use its hull to be the hull of a carrier. We're allowed to build carriers. They would do this thing where they would take ships that are going out there. Oh, you can only have so many ships of a certain tonnage. Well, then they would take ships out with partial crews, partial ammo, partial fuel, and they would say, see, our ship is rated at this amount. Well, yeah, but if you're doing normal sea trials, if you're at war, you would be an additional maybe 10,000 tons of diesel or coal or whatever.
Everything.
Yeah.
So, my next question then is, as somebody who doesn't really know anything about ships, there are a plethora of weapons clearly on the ship. So typically, these are what, like torpedoes, anti-aircraft guns? Is that
Okay,
is that
yeah.
typical?
They're the typical. Okay. The Navy is all about what is its job. If you're a destroyer,
Okay.
you have a lot of small caliber guns
And that's for fighting other ships.
to fight other destroyers, to fight ships. The most ships you're going to have is destroyers. They are long. They can have a little bit longer range. They're cheap to build. They can be patrol ships that are out around the world. For example, the British Empire, largest navy in the world, it dwarfed the American military. You could take the Germans, you could take the Italians, the French, everybody. The British had the most ships.
They were basically, in terms of Navy, America in terms of just overall military nowadays.
Yeah,
They're just like
because they
no.
had a huge naval empire. They had a world-spanning empire at the time.
Yeah.
So they needed to have ships. Now,
Quick question. So in this game, is it set at a certain year?
not really.
There is no year per se. Basically, you just join a battle, and the battles are all multiplayer. You can have players from all over the world that join you. So it's basically eight ships aside. There are random battles, which are totally person versus person, 8-on-8. And then you have the co-op battles, which are mainly eight ships on your side, all multiplayer. Players being everywhere against a primarily computer-driven side of 8 ships as well.
Usually used as training. If you don't know how to play the game that well,
Do co-ops.
you don't get a lot of experience or a lot of the rewards in the game, but you do get a little more time to. The learning scale in World of Warships and World of Tanks is such that there is a point. It's not it is PvP, but it's not like you got a ship and everybody goes kill. We're gonna kill the noob. You don't see that in the game.
No.
The only emphasis I've ever seen that is when the World of Warships introduces a new ship.
Okay.
Everybody wants to kill it. Don't ask me why. I find that like I have a ship called the Graf Spey. It's an armored cruiser, and it's basically what they classify as a pocket battleship.
Pocket battleship.
Yeah.
Okay. But battleship is normally large?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So basically, this is a heavy cruiser with more guns and better armor.
But
So,
if you call the armor better.
well, I mean, the Dunkirk's the same thing. That's
Yeah.
a French ship.
Okay.
Technically, it's a heavy cruiser, but it's got battleship-sized guns on it, and it's and with slightly better armor.
Oh.
It just doesn't move as fast.
So, we were talking about the weapons, but I think we kind of got sidetracked there. Are there cannons?
Yes.
Your typical battleship for World War II is about 16-inch guns.
Okay.
The Yamato was the biggest one that had 18, 19.
Who has 16s?
U.S. had 16s. U.S. had 16s.
Yeah, but at Iowa, when you're at Iowa,
British had 16s.
15s and 14s until you get to the Monarch or the high level, the high level.
I think the Russians went a little low on some of the characteristics, but anyway.
So not really cannons anymore. Not at this point.
Well, they're not
They're
cannons.
like they're rifled.
They're rifled guns.
Okay.
Yeah. That can be up to 16 inches across on the bore. So that's basically you're throwing a Volkswagen Bug every shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it sounded like.
At up to 30 miles, depending.
Yeah. The Iowa, with its 16.5 54 caliber guns, can shoot a 2,000-pound projectile about 24 miles and be within 500 yards of the target.
Oh, actually, I have a series of questions. So,
Yes.
I just watched the Vietnam documentary on Netflix. Very good documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best I've ever watched. I recommend it to everybody all the time. And at one point, America blockaded Vietnam's coast with
Mhm.
their navy, and they just started shelling them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
this could at this point that's like in the 70s, and realistically this could have been out like 30 miles away, and they're just like bombing the
Yeah,
coast.
yeah, anywhere from 20 to 25 miles away.
Oh my goodness.
But you also do it based on the enemy's guns, and the thing is, the Vietnamese didn't have any big
No,
ships,
they did. So
so
they
they could have been in
pulled
as
Yeah.
close as maybe 12 miles
Okay.
in, which would
Yeah.
have been much more impactful,
It's
much more accurate fire.
it's like, okay, the Iowa, or primarily the Iowa class battleship, which are, you're talking the Missouri, the New Jersey, the Iowa, and the Wisconsin. All four of those battleships um, had a career after the war.
Okay.
If you're familiar, in Vietnam, in Korea, the New Jersey, I believe it was the New Jersey or the Wisconsin, actually went over by MacArthur. MacArthur was asking for a section of South Korean peninsula to be bombed, and they bombed it with battleships.
To create
Diversion.
well, that, and it also allowed access for sea landing,
So
flatten the area.
so the in Vietnam, the Navy came in with the Missouri and the New Jersey. I don't know if the Iowa was already retired by then. And basically, again, the Vietnamese did not have any active naval, and they were depending on the Russian and the Chinese MiGs, but those ships would never get close to our battleships. The battleship would just sit off the coast, lobbing 16-inch shells wherever it wanted to lob the shells. So they're still efficient. Well, Reagan in the 80s, early 90s, late 80s. We're in Lebanon. This is Lebanon.
Okay.
So the military,
the Jersey and the Iowa.
the military is hard pressed because we only have so many carriers. We have these Nimitz class aircraft carriers, nuclear powered aircraft carriers. So they wanted to have another ship, another aircraft carrier brought in. But people were saying, well, the cost of an aircraft carrier, even without planes, is approximately $3 billion. Say with planes, maybe $6 billion. Well, they figured out, and Reagan was talking to, because Reagan was upgrading the military at the time, and he says, well, why don't we just get a battleship and sit it off the coast of Lebanon, and if we need to shoot anything, we can shoot. And so they found out that they could remodernize and remobilize an Iowa, or I think you were saying
The Iowa and the Jersey.
Iowa and New Jersey,
Yeah.
for $450,000.
That's it?
450. Sorry, not 450. Sorry, 450 million.
Oh,
450
But
million.
that was
What the
a new
hell?
new electronic suites, everything. So
Now
automated targeting, all kinds of wonderful stuff.
they would put these Gatling, called Phalanx Gatling system. They would put point blank Gatling systems on the ship. They put Tomahawk missile launchers on the ship. But the one thing they didn't mess with, they kept the primitive analog fire control system from 1930s on the battleship because it was impervious to ECMs.
I was gonna say, is it because it's not computerized?
Correct, it's
specifically?
analog.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was the battleship is sitting off the coast of Lebanon, and somebody in some Palestinian PLO is sitting on a hill and looks at the infidel American Navy sitting out in the harbor, with their big battleship. So he pulls out an Exocet anti-ship missile. What is an Exocet? It's an anti-ship missile. It took out the Sheffield, which was a British troop transport light cruiser.
Falklands.
This is at the Falkland Islands.
Is this like a Laws rocket? Like it's just short?
No, no.
It's an
Oh,
anti-ship.
So he probably had like a team.
Think of a flying torpedo.
So it
But
can,
it takes one person, or it takes...
One person can fire it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
yeah. it can basically shoot, I think, 4 or 5 miles, and it could basically take out a transport ship, which has a hull of about half-inch armor, an inch armor. It can damage possibly something like a medical or some kind of other military vessel, like a destroyer, who's got like 3 inches of armor. If it hits in a critical area, like the USS Cole, that got blown up by the PLO when they put that limpet mine on the side of the ship.
Yeah.
So anyway, so here in the middle of the night is this commander in CIC going, "We're being targeted." Calls the executive officer up inside the bridge and says, "We're being targeted." And then they saw a missile coming their way. So the missile impacts the side of the Iowa. And they say, "What happened?" It bounced off. Because this is a battleship with 14 inches of belt armor. So this thing could put a dent in the side of the armor. So at that time, the commander, executive officer on deck, said, "Give me a broadside." So he basically turned over all 4 turrets, 12 16-inch guns, and fired. The ship moved horizontally in the water back about 12 feet.
This was just like a single shot or like a volley?
One volley.
One volley, all at the same time.
All 4 turrets, all fired.
Okay.
Onto a location on the top of a hill. The executive officer gets a call. The captain goes, "What's going on with my ship? We've just taken a missile hit. Ineffective. You know the target? Yes, we've got it targeted. Have you eliminated the target? Yes, we have." And all they see is a boom, 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 boom. When the smoke cleared, there was no hill.
The hill's gone.
The hill's gone. The advantage? They now have a landing spot up on top of the mountain where they can start landing, helicopters and stuff, because it's all flattened.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
So, yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have any of that anymore. But
They could be
they're
activated.
still there. They're still floating. But anyway, so
One of
So
the
where were
one
we?
of the things I was going to say is that if people like the Navy and like naval ships and naval history, it's really important that you support the naval history. If you're living in different parts of the country, you can actually go to different locations. Like, for example, in the Bay Area, you can go see the USS Hornet, which is an Essex-class aircraft carrier. It's in dry dock up in San Francisco. You can go down to L.A., and I think it's the Missouri's down in L.A.
I think so.
You can go to off Houston, Texas. I don't know if it's near Galveston but anyway, you can go see the USS Texas. You can go see the USS Alabama in Alabama.
You can see
South Carolina.
in South Carolina, the Yorktown. San Diego has the USS Midway.
Yeah, aircraft carrier.
There are a couple of submarines up in the New England area, the Albacore being one of them, which is a really interesting ship to
Groton?
go on. That's in Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, okay.
Yeah, Portsmouth, and then there's also just across the river in Kittery, Maine. There's another submarine there as well. There was the intent. Okay, so kind of a little Navy trivia. There was a submarine referred to as Sub 1. It was a submarine that Eisenhower had commissioned. That if he could not get on to Air Force One, because Air Force One was still just a concept of that point. At that point, it wasn't an official plane called Air Force One. That he could actually get out of Washington on a submarine. It was the longest submarine ever built. Actually had 2 nuclear reactors end to end. And it was designed to be the president's home away from home in the event of a nuclear war. And that ship is on display. I'll have to look it up. You can actually go into the submarine. You can actually see the president's podium. You can see the television cameras. Everything's still set up. But that is a very large submarine.
Yeah.
I had that submarine parked off. I was stationed on the USS Dixon, which was a submarine tender. That submarine was attached to our ship. Our ship was 800 feet long, and that submarine went past the end of our ship by 50 feet. So very, very large ship.
But at the same time, wasn't it a present day ship?
No, it was a Nautilus. It was a modified Nautilus.
Oh, okay. What I was getting at is that the one thing that people didn't realize is there was a fear in World War II that after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and if they could gain access to Midway, they would be able to do ongoing attacks into Pearl Harbor. And then from there, they would be able to strike the West Coast freely. They could hit San Diego. They could hit San Francisco. They could Seattle. All the naval yards. They'd be all subject to being attacked on the West Coast. And that's actually one of the reasons why Naguma and Yamada. Not Yamada. Hirakura. The main commander of the admiral. Anyway.
I don't know.
I was like, come on, you know it.
I don't know.
But he basically had them make a design of a plane, a carrier, an amphibious carrier. So basically, what it was a huge submarine.
But it could go on land.
No, what it would do is it was a huge submarine, and it would pull up to surface, and then it would lower down a deck
And turn into a ship.
And turn into an aircraft carrier.
And it could launch aircraft that had folded wings.
That's crazy.
And it could launch long distance aircraft and strike if it was sitting off the coast of San Francisco, or it could drop.
Yeah.
What Mitchell did with the Doolittle raids when they bombed the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, where they basically took B-24s and put them on a carrier and sit it right tried to go right off the coast of Japan.
And it was successful. The problem is they couldn't come back.
Yeah.
So they all ditched in China.
They all ditched. Most of them ditched in China. That's when China was our ally.
Yeah, because the Japanese, they were still fighting the Japanese.
Yeah.
So
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, because we were helping the Chinese. We were helping the Chinese out against the Japanese. That's with the blah blah blah. The Chenault's Flying Tigers.
They were out of Burma.
Okay.
So
Because we were trying to keep the Burma Trail. The Burma Trail was a supply route that was going from India across Bangladesh, Siam, and was trying to supply British forces in the area.
Now, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah.
but the Burma Trail eventually would connect to what would become known as the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Is that right?
I think there may have been parts of the Ho Chi Minh
That
Trail that
connected
were
to it.
connected to it,
Okay.
Yeah.
but this
Cambodia and Laos.
predates that.
Oh yeah, very
Well,
much so.
I was saying,
Yeah.
like, eventually,
Yeah.
not at the time, because I remember they mentioned the Burmese Trail or Burma Trail,
Mhm.
but they always talk about the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Yes, that was those were trails that the North Vietnamese created that went through Laos and Cambodia,
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
supporting southern.
how everybody was kind of bullshitting all the little
Yeah.
trees and everything. Their thing was like, well, if we go over the border to this other country, what the fuck can you do about it?
Yeah, the problem with the
So-
Burmese trail is that it mostly had to avoid Cambodia in the Vietnam area because they didn't get along with China.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, Vietnam was the only country that actually, at all times, China was never able to defeat. So, so they never got along.
French. Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Vietnam was
So-
a French colony.
It was. I remember that documentary actually breaks it down year by year, and it
Mhm.
starts off with the French occupation, which leads into the Vietnamese Civil
Mhm.
War, which most people don't even know it's a civil war. It was a civil
That's
war.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fucking
And it
crazy.
starts
Well,
in the early 50s.
Yeah, it
Well,
started a
So
long
it
time
was
ago.
it was a decade or more before the U.S. got involved. That wasn't
Yeah.
until '64.
It was a very
Yeah.
long
So-
war. Most people
Yeah.
don't realize. They think it's just like in the 70s. Like, no,
Mm-mm,
man.
no.
It was like
My
a
dad was
lifetime.
there twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he did 64 to it was 66 to 67 and then 68. So, yeah, he got to spend a lot of time there. But yeah, it's a really that documentary is pretty awesome. That is the second film that my dad will watch. The only other film my dad watched from Vietnam was Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I watched Platoon recently.
Yeah,
That was surprising.
But
though.
yeah, Full Metal Jacket was the only other one he would watch.
Is that because he could relate to it?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because speaking of a movie, a Vietnam movie, which is Platoon, you had William Dafoe
Yeah.
as the.
At his most handsomest.
You have William Dafoe, and you have the asshole Tom Berenger.
Oh man, he is one like nasty. I would not want to be in his platoon.
Yeah, Tom Berenger basically leaving the other sergeant to die and be captured and tortured by the Vietnamese.
Well, he didn't just leave him to die. Like he fucking shot him. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh well, you got me. You know, Willem Dafoe's like, I don't have a gun. You got me, and he's just like, bye, and he left.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's there's another movie that Tom Berenger did, which is the Dog Soldiers, Tale of the Dog Soldiers.
It's been a while since I saw that one too.
Yeah, and in that movie, he's a good guy. He's the nice guy, and so you watch that movie, and if you watched Platoon, you go like, I
Oh.
can't,
Well, the reason why you can't is because you need the middle ground. You have to watch Sniper, where he's the neutral guy.
Yeah.
He's just in there to do the job, and that's it.
Okay,
So there's the three increments of Tom Berenger.
So now we'll talk about another movie. This is just another. It's a war movie, so it's possibly part of what we're talking about. Is Zulu?
Oh man, I haven't seen this since I was a kid.
Okay,
That was a good movie.
so here's the thing: if you were to go and rent the movie Zulu, who won Michael Caine his Oscar,
Yep, I put him on the map.
put him on the map. I think had he done that movie where he played the gigolo
Alfie.
Alfie? Had he done Alfie
Yeah,
yet?
he'd already done Alfie.
So everyone kind of looked at him like, oh, he's kind of like God. Who's the guy nowadays that has that same kind of mentality?
There's the guy who was the vampire in Twilight.
Oh,
something-
Patterson.
Yeah,
Pattinson.
Pattinson.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get Michael Caine, who everybody now knows from, the Batman movies. He's playing Alfred. Okay, or does the movie with Sean Connery as the king, master and the king.
The man who would be king.
The man that would be king.
Yeah.
Okay, but all these movies go back to Zulu.
Yeah.
During the Boer War, 1880s, 85, I think, we're around there. So you get the British in all of their wonder going into a colony that I think was Belgium, but I don't know. So basically, there's this small little group of British soldiers that are holding up in this hospital, this field hospital, and for some reason, the Zulu, which are an African warrior nation, they basically they've got a serious hard-on to kill all the British. You don't know why,
No, I know why. It's because they're foreign invaders. I don't fucking
Okay.
want them in their land, dude.
but
Come on.
here's the thing. The movie is pro-British. So everything about the movie is from a British point of view. Everything that the Zulus do is from an uneducated, backwater little country that's going against the British Empire. Okay, if you really want to see it properly, I would suggest watch the movie Shaka Zulu.
Yes.
Okay, after you watch Shaka Zulu and realize who the fuck the Zulu were,
Yeah.
I easily put the Zulu as at where I would put the Spartans from Greek mythology.
They're badass warriors.
Okay, so now you finish watching Shaka Zulu. So now you know all about how the Zulus started. Then you watch a movie called Zulu Dawn. It came after Zulu, but it's a prequel. It shows you what the British did to piss off the Zulu.
Oh yeah, what did they do? I wonder.
The British went in and realized that the Zulu could technically cause them grief in the African continent.
In their own home continent.
Correct.
Okay.
So what they decide to do is distract the Zulu war chiefs one way, and then burn all their crops and their fields and all the civilian populace. They eliminated it, burnt it to the ground.
Sounds like something they would do.
Okay.
I'm not lying.
So then the British took, now again, how accurate this is, I don't know. It's just this movie is not pro-British.
No, it's not. It's more meant to be like, hey, this is what happened.
So, like Custer in The Little Bighorn, the British commander divides his forces into three forces. He basically sends the military in, and they're fighting Zulu. And there's a scene in the movie which is so prominent about the way the British think. They're running out of ammunition. Now the British they have their SMLEs, and they can basically put up a line of fire that is just withering. The Zulus don't have guns, or very few guns.
This is still during the mindset of you put as many guys as you can, shoot as much as you can.
Yeah,
it's an overwhelming force tactic.
Even though machine guns
shifting.
technically existed, there were not many.
So it is all about troop placement to
Yes.
maximize your firepower.
Trench usage.
Yeah.
You know.
They could basically have one person firing, one person reloading, one person in the back rank, and they would shift the lines. So you would have constant firing of guns in a wall of lead.
Yeah.
And if they didn't get overwhelmed, they could just wither anything that came up against them. There's a scene in the movie Zulu Dawn where a ammunition commander was basically only giving out one pack of ammunition to everybody that was running up asking for ammunition that he was trying to bring back to the line. And he was only opening one crate at a time because that's the efficient British method, and he didn't want to violate his orders and procedures.
Very proper, right?
So the people ended up running out of ammunition. Without the ammunition, they fought the Zulu. They'd fight the Zulu hand to hand. Now the British regulars were still pretty damn good, but that wasn't their strength. So they were basically decimated, and the units started fleeing. So when you see Zulu, after seeing all these movies, you don't feel bad for the British. You say, it's about time you got yours.
Yeah. And then in the end, they actually don't. Completely.
So, but that's just a video choice if you want to see a series of movies in the correct order.
So yeah, I guess that's World of Ships.
World of Warships explained over a period of 2 hours and 5 wars.
Yeah, sounds pretty accurate.
In
Probably
half
that.
of it wasn't even ship based.
I'll probably put that in the description. So, I guess we're gonna put a pin in that for now because I'm sure you guys can talk about it some more at some other time. Why don't we talk about the GMing thing, which was Dwayne and I have had this ongoing discussion, throughout the year and a half, no, more like 2.5 years I've known you, because we were playing board games exclusively. Actually, you guys were playing Dungeons and Dragons, but I wasn't in the game. So
Yeah.
before I started playing pen and paper games with you guys, I was playing board games for a while. But something that we talked about on and off again for a long time, over a year, was game mastering, and more specifically, how older players of older versions of Dungeons and Dragons, like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, for example, we look at the rule book as a guide, and then we edit it how we feel, Whereas people who played like 3.5 or whatever, I mean, you had it more down to the size. But like the later versions are like, no, it's in the rule book. That's how it's gotta be. And I played in both, and I've game mastered on and off throughout the years through different versions of different games. But I've always had that mentality. It's just like, they're real stupid, or I think this makes more sense, and I'll change it. But you've had issues, and I've actually had issues where like it's different though for me, because my thing was like the guy would be like, "Oh, I read it in a book," and we'd be like, "What book?" And he couldn't tell us what book or page it was in, or even just the book. We would figure it out ourselves. So that was my problem with that. But you, on the other hand, are like, well, it like saps the fun out of the game for you as a player, yeah. So the main thing we were actually going to talk about was this, and then you guys were just like bullshitting before we started recording about World of Battleships. So
World of Warships.
World of Warships. I'm sorry. So we started talking about that instead.
See, I'm a first edition player who, after that's the white box with Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax, came out in '78,
I
whatever.
didn't know there was a second guy. I always thought it was just Gygax.
David Aronson and Gary Gygax. So the game first edition came out, and it had been out for a long time. The reason second edition and first edition had a history of being modified to the likings of the player was because it had been out so long, and there was so much source book, and it was like, okay, Gary Gygax and Dave Aronson would put out this material and say, here you go, here's what we think. People understood that all they were suggestions. You played it, and if you didn't like something, you changed it. If you didn't like a certain class because you thought it was overpowered, you either edited it or said, you can't have that in the game. So it is, in second edition, you were more open. A referee was open to changing things based on their campaign. For example, if your campaign was more of a swashbuckling kind of game and was more about high adventure, having it say, oh, you're trying to grab that rope and jump from here to there, and you're trying to make an attack, okay, it says you get this modifier on this part of the swing, that so screws over the fun of the game. And what you're trying to do as a referee is you're trying to set up an adventure, you're trying to have something that the players can get involved in and enjoy and come back the next week or the next week after that, whenever you're going to play.
Real quick, Dom, you never game mastered, right? It's not your thing?
Long time ago.
A long time ago. So yeah, it's not your thing.
Late 80s, early 90s, and a little bit after that, but yeah.
Okay, so maybe a little longer than I thought. Alright, so, sorry, I just was a little curious because I never heard Dom talk about game mastering himself. What's your take on that? If we pause so.
No,
Dwayne can eat a
I would
cookie?
I would agree with Dwayne on this.
Oh, Dwayne!
What was that?
Drop a cookie crumb.
Oh, where?
I don't know. You probably just smushed it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's next. It's on the mic stand. It's a little bottom right there.
Anyway. Okay. I think that I would have to say probably when 3 came out. It was probably before 3, but my take on it was when version 3 came out, where the fun started to die. No, because everything was so strict.
Yeah.
And rather than again just enjoying the premise and working within the premise of the game or the scenario, whatever it was, you had a tendency of everybody becoming rule guy. And it really what it came down to was the DM's running the game.
Yeah.
DM is rule guy.
Yeah, 100%.
Let the DM. But then you had players that was like, well, this on this page, you know what? Screw that. I don't care. So, if you want to if somebody had a particular type of boots of jumping, I don't care. And they roll great. Well, there's no way that person could have done. And well, who cares? If you don't want to play with me, go away. But really, what it came down to was that everybody had to have their thing of no, it didn't. That can't happen. This can't happen. It's like all of a sudden, the kid that was born, I don't know, mid '80s, coming into about 2000, started picking up D&D, and all of a sudden it's like all the fun went away because somewhere along the line, their view of how life could be just got skewed.
Yeah.
So, I'd say about the advent of about D&D version 3 and up. And again, everybody had to have their take on how we could fix it. So you had 3.5, then we had 4, then we had 5, which fixed 4.
You had 3.75, which is Pathfinder.
Well,
That's
okay.
the one I was the most familiar with for a long time.
Never played Pathfinder.
Oh man, that is a game meant for power gamers. Let me tell you.
I think what it was that Pathfinder took a lot of the good aspects of D&D and ran with it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of people saw where D&D was going and just kind of like, again, fun drain.
And Pathfinder is also one of the reasons why TSR rushed to make 4th edition because in D20 3.0, they made a system they made their game open source. Because the game was open source, they required you, when you made a product, that it had to use your basic books, and it had to reference your basic books. So.
But you can make whatever.
Yeah, you can make whatever.
Anybody can make whatever.
You can make it. Yeah. So, but what ended up happening is when just after 3.5 came out, people were still complaining about things, and that's why a large chunk of the population of D&D players ran off to the wilderness of Pathfinder because
it was wild. Let me tell you.
Okay. So, but see, here's the thing. They weren't making any money on Pathfinder.
They weren't.
No.
Pathfinder, if Pathfinder had actually found a way to do what it was doing and make TSR money and make Wizards of the Coast money, you would have seen that probably 4th edition wouldn't have come out, and you would have seen Wizards of the Coast embracing Pathfinder. But instead, there was this kind of like, well, if you won't do what we want, we're going to make our own little game. And they went off to their corner and made their own little game. But here I am agreeing with Dom about some aspects that he's just mentioning in 3rd. However, I have a different point of view.
Okay.
My point of view is I bought my books in 2002 when they first came out.
Okay.
I didn't open my books till 2012. Okay. By 2012, Pathfinder had come out, 3.5 had come out, 4th edition had come out. I started finding people selling 3.0 books hella cheap.
Yeah.
Modules, scenarios, all 3-0. I would go and buy stuff cheap. And I would read it and I would go, okay, this is 3-0. Wait, what does this mean? And I'd pull out my 3-0 books and I'd say, oh, that's what that means. Okay. So then I'd understand it. I embraced 3-0 in 2012.
But I thought it was just so you could turn around and convert it into Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I liked 3-0.
Okay.
Because 3-0 gave you the ability to customize your characters however you see fit within the confines of the referee's game world. You would express to the game master, here's the kind of character I want to make, and you would tweak using feats, using different skills, using different classes, whatever. You could make whatever your class is. Some people are power gamers, and they would say, you've got to make it so you get the most damage from this and that. No, this is my character concept. I'm not the most powerful, but it fits my character concept. So we've had discussions before in the game about feats, and feats are freaking awesome. And though I really don't like min-maxing, I also, with the same aspect, look at feats as you don't have too many of them, and I'm not going to waste taking a feat unless it really fits my character background or gives me some great reward. The advantages in 3.0 and 3.5, there were so many feats. I want to say like 1,000 feats when everything was said and done.
Hundreds.
Every single game, every single supplement, every single side book had these are the new feats to the game. Yeah. But technically, it was the same 20 feats that people would use that would give them the combat advantage. And it wasn't until 5th edition came out where you look at feats and they are rewarding. A 5th edition feat is like, wow, you really have to think, what am I going to spend? I either get 2 points of attributes when I get a feat to one of my attributes, or 1 point, 2 attributes, or I take a feat. That feat better be worth 2 points, 2 attribute points. And some of them, like Great Weapon Mastery, Crossbow Master, Polearm Master, those are freaking great damage potential abilities. But 5th edition has a lot of other abilities. So, but getting back to the subject of third edition, I came in late. I was anti-3rd edition, anti-Pathfinder, anti-everything in D20 until I actually sat down and read the rules. And read and said, okay, this is great, but now I'm going to shove it through the filter of a 2nd edition worldview, the 2nd edition game view, which is what I like, I keep. What I don't like, I change. What I hate, I throw away. Some people that I've ran into, when you say you're deleting things out of the game because you don't like them in your world, they are appalled. How dare you? People aren't going to want to play in your game if you do that. And I go, then they don't play in my game.
Yeah, you're the DM. You're the guy.
You know, in my game that I play with Dominic and with Jeff, we play D20 Modern, and we play a version of it. In this game, there were things called advanced classes. They're very similar to prestige classes in 3rd edition, 5th edition. But all of those are templates. They are suggestions. They are, if you want to follow this course of action, take following A, following B, following C. But if you want to change something, Between you and the referee, make the call. We have a player in our game. His name is Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson is a Texas Ranger. He's what they call a FAST. He's a dex-based character. He's a gunslinger. His advanced class is gunslinger. The advantages and the abilities of a gunslinger are pretty close to what he wants. But I've already mentioned to him, as being the referee, we are willing to adapt and change the advantages that his advanced class gives him to make the game freaking enjoyable for him to play. An example, Chow Yun Fat, or from the director John Woo, the style like in the movie Hard Boiled, the Jackie Chan movies, the action-oriented. If that's the kind of game he wants to play, great. If he wants to play Go-Go 13, I think it's Go-Go 13.
Doesn't know. Golgo.
Golgo?
You talking about the Japanese hitman?
Yeah.
That uses the
Golgo
AR-15?
13. Yeah.
It's a Golgo.
Okay, Golgo. So Go-Go 13.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister, I know.
Okay, he has a certain shtick. He has a certain way of playing. Cowboy Reboot.
Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop.
Is it Bebop?
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop.
Okay. Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy. Oh my God, I'm glad nobody heard that live.
Okay.
They would be very angry.
Okay, Cowboy, whatever. His character has a certain way of playing. If you break it down to a basic character, he is just a generic fast gunslinger. But his character is slightly changed. As a second edition player, rewriting third, possibly getting into fifth, I find that making a game that the players want to play and letting them play character types that they want to play is what we're here for. I don't change anything too drastically in the game.
Okay.
I'm not trying to change anything. I'm trying to say, give me the special effect. Tell me what you want to do. Give me an action sequence that you want to see your character doing, and let's try to get that for you. We might not be successful all at once, but eventually you'll find that your character gets that ability. He might lose some of his other abilities, but he'll gain, skills in a certain section of his gameplay. Why do I bring this all up? And again, it seems like I'm drifting off into the nether void of this issue. 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition is about everyone having to follow conformity. 2nd edition is anti-conformity.
So that is actually something I wanted to talk about, because I did not play 3.0 beyond like a couple sessions, and I didn't run any 3.0. But I did play a lot of Pathfinder, which everybody considers to be between 3.5 and 4. Mm-hmm. So I actually kind of feel like I'm a mini you. I started playing 2nd edition, and that's also what I used to run originally. And I was like, I don't want to play 3rd edition because I like 2nd edition. Why do I need to move on? I already know all this other stuff. But the kids I was playing with, they wanted to play 3rd edition. So I tried it a little bit, but I never ran it. But the very first thing I remember reading for the Game Master's Guide for 2nd edition is, this book is a guide. You don't have to use any of the rules in it. It says that verbatim. You don't have to use any single rule if you don't like it. So anytime I played other stuff, like when I have Game Mastered Pathfinder, or when I'm going to Game master, I'm always gonna have that mindset like, I don't like that rule. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna change it because why wouldn't I? I'm the one that has to do all the work anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes
Well, yeah,
sense.
you're the man. You're
It
the
just
world.
makes sense to me. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna do what's easiest for me or what makes sense to me.
Yep.
Because the whole point of me playing this game and telling this story and sharing this experience with everybody is for us to all have fun. So if I don't think a rule is to whatever point of my attempt to having fun going to accomplish, then there's fuck that rule.
Yeah.
I never
I would
understood
agree.
why like you're playing a game and even the game master's like, oh yeah, that rule. And it's like, I mean, if that's how you feel about it, don't use that rule. Why
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
using that rule?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Okay,
Having played first edition,
okay, I did not.
if you played first edition, poison's always death save. Any poison you ran into that said make a poison save, that didn't tell you if you fail your poison save you take X damage,
You
No,
just
you died.
you died.
Oh my
Died.
goodness.
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You died.
Okay.
So, I didn't like that.
I don't think a lot of players would like that either. That
Okay,
sounds terrible.
but here's the thing. We changed it. We said in our campaign that now this changed if you go into the DM's guide of second edition, advanced second edition, there is charts of different types of insinuative and swallowed poisons. And it gives you a chart about all the different damages and how not every poison is instant death. That was one of the changes that they made. In future editions, you're Pathfinder. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Certain poison effects can have losing attributes.
Yeah, it got a little complicated. Sometimes you had to reread it, but some of poisons work in two steps in Pathfinder, which was when you first get hit, it has an initial effect, and sometimes at either stage, just like it automatically happens or it doesn't, or you have a chance for it to not happen. So you have that initial effect, and then after like an onset period, they roll again, and it's like, oh, here's your secondary effect. By the way, this is how the poisons work. And some of them didn't really do anything or didn't do anything at all for one, and it was just like basically one effect. But a lot of them were like you were saying, if it's an attribute one, some of them were like, you can lose attributes. Oh, by the way, you can lose more for the attributes, and it was like really bad. Pathfinder was an interesting game in the sense that you are meant to power game that game, or when you get later on, you are just fucked. Like you will not do anything, and you will just die. So, and I know the game I played in the most was this crazy, insane bullshit universe that made no sense, but I mean it was fun. It was fun for a long time until my DM decided I had to keep power leveling people because I was both a tank and a healer. But it was just like if you were to compare everything before that on a difficulty scale, Pathfinder was 10. It was the most difficult one. And to me, I like challenging games. And when I run my game, I'm hoping it'll be challenging for you guys, but fun still. You know, the whole point is for fun. And we are going to be using D20 Modern, which is probably, from my experience, which is second edition, Pathfinder, which is 3.75, and then D20 Modern is probably the most bare bones one. But to me, that also means it's the most open to be,
Flexible and
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the most flexible. There we go. It's the most. I'm going to tell you guys like, I'll double check, but I'll probably be like, just show me a feat. If it's not in D20 Modern, I'll go over it in the trees and I'll say yes or no or make edits, and it'll be open, you know. And there's other things I'm gonna do too because
I got a feed I want to see if you'll let me take.
well, yeah, I'll review it, you know. But that's to me, that's what a guy game mastering is supposed to do. Is like
It's a Ravenloft feed.
if players are interested in doing these things, just fucking do it, dude. Like, why? What is the point of buying a book for playing a game and then It's a game that runs off imagination, and you're just like, I have to stick to the book. It's extremely limiting. That's how I was raised. That's the first form of Dungeons and Dragons I played. Was literally the first thing it tells me is it's just a guide. Use whatever rules you want. So I've always had that mentality, and that's what I'm going to bring when I start playing our other game, Exit the Light. So also, before we stop,
Can I finish my thing about poison?
before we stop, I actually printed out some surveys that I'm going to give to all my players, and we'll post it on the gaming group too. That was one of the reasons why I did it, is so that we would have something to put out onto our gaming group's website, the Discord, etc., and show, hey, we're doing stuff. And it's going to be really interesting because, number one, I came up with it over the course of 2 hours. I sat down and I started writing up questions and stuff. But number two, it'll kind of show you the difference in mentality of, oh, things have to be this way versus I'm open to doing whatever. Because I've always ran games like you were talking about, you do modules and stuff, and I think that's really cool. But I've always played in games, I've always ran games where everything was created and it was open world. That's the kind of games I've always done and played in up until now.
Let me preface my statement there. We had a discussion about doing modules versus doing your home game. I primarily do always my own home game, except there are some scenarios that one of my favorite scenarios is from Judges Guild, 1976. It's called Teagle Manor. Teagle Manor is a first edition D&D game set for first and 10th level characters. It is a slogfest. It is just a crazy haunted house where you could meet a purple worm to meet a skeleton. And, there was no sense of why, how, but I've always loved that module. So I wanted to run a 5th edition campaign where the players go through Teagle Manor, because there is a lot of aspects in Teagle Manor that are mentioned, but you never deal with them. There is a whole adventure that could have been taken place that they wrote notes about, but you never do anything in the game. In my game, the players can actually level from level 1 to level 5 without ever going to Teagle Manor. They're in the realm of Teagle, the surrounding countryside, dealing with these pirates, dealing with these bandits, dealing with these cultists that are in the area. And when it finally gets to the point where you've succeeded, and then you can basically then move on to solving the mystery of Teagle Manor. So yeah, that's one of the few modules, or any module put out by Ed Greenwood, the maker of Forgotten Realms. That's what I mean about having done modules. But primarily, I do my own games. But the aspect about poison,
Yes.
coming from first edition, I don't have any instant death in my game, except there are 3 creatures that are instant death poisons. That is the imp, that is the black naga, that is actually there's 4 of them. There's a phase spider, and then there is the giant desert scorpion. The giant desert scorpion comes from Arduin Grimoire, but I kind of merged it over, and since I play a World of Greyhawk adventures, I put it in the middle of the bright desert, where that crazy sorcerer Rary the Betrayer, supposedly has his little stronghold. If you guys ever saw the movie the Titans, the one with the after the Clash of Titans, the second one.
You mean the newer one?
Yeah, the newer one.
Yeah.
Okay, those big scorpions at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
All right, 16 hit dice, freaking scorpions.
Yeah.
these scorpions have instant death poison.
I mean, the 16 hit die, though. I would expect that at that point.
Okay. The face spider. See, the reason is I said I have no instant death, but these are the creatures that have instant death. The black naga. I've used it in one game in 25 years. Okay.
Wait. Okay, so important question. Did it get to use its poison in that game?
Yes.
Ooh, did it kill anybody?
No. Person survived by one.
Wow. That's a nail biter.
So, but what I did in the game is I basically made him lose 3 attributes.
For making the save?
He made a save.
Oh, man. Is that because he only beat it by 1, or if it was just that's how the
He
poison
just beat
worked?
it by 1.
Okay, because he made it by 1, that's what happened.
And he was already really, really wounded.
So what was it, con, dex, and strength or something like that?
Dex, con, and intelligence.
Oh. Interesting.
The dex gave him 50% movement. The con gave him have to make a roll to make any physical action and exertion. Anything more than just I shuffle and I walk here and I walk there. You know, anything strenuous, make a system shock roll or black out.
Wow. We put him at the edge of death, basically.
Basically. Okay. So those were, because of first edition, the poison. Now, those other than those instant deaths, there were creatures that I would specify that they have residual effects. That can be you fail a saving throw versus poison, so you take poison next round. Make a save versus poison. Until you make your save, you keep taking poison damage. Okay, but I put that on my my monster description as why they're taking it. If something says, take this damage, make your check, or lose this attribute. You get the attribute based on your constitution in so many turns. So you just like, for example, one was like 20 turns, you lose it for 20 turns, minus your con. So if you got a high con, maybe you only lose it for 1 or 2 turns. So, but again, these are all
That's
uber.
not in the book. That's your
That's
call.
all. That's just my call.
That's your game master call.
There is a spell in the game that any cleric in my game that doesn't take is stupid.
Okay, what spell is this?
That's called Death's Door.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, Death's Door is a first level cleric ability. I think now they say it's a second level ability. All right. When you get to 0, you go unconscious. All right. If you go into negatives, you make system shock or die. If you don't make system shock, you go down to -2. Next turn, you make system shock. If you make it, you go down to -3.
Okay, so to be clear, because we played second edition, when you're saying system shock, this is not a fort save. This is like the percentile dice.
The percentile con save.
Okay, which is a lot different than your fort save.
Which is like in 5th edition is now called a death save.
Interesting. That 5th edition went back to the golden oldie.
You have to roll 10 or better.
No, that's not that bad.
Yeah. You have to make 3. You have to make 3 consecutive successes.
Oh, that's less not as bad.
But if you fail 3 times, you die.
Are you losing hit points every?
No. Once you get to 0, you go to 0. Once you go to -1, you're in the negatives. If you go farther than your certain amount of hit points, you die instantly.
Well, standard is -10, you're dead.
Yeah.
Although when I played Pathfinder, it was negative your con score, and then you die.
Yeah.
Which I actually think makes more sense to me, and I'll be
Negative
adopting
14,
that.
it's a -14.
Yeah, I'll be adopting
If
that
you ever
instead.
look at D20 Modern, they have a thing called damage threshold. Damage threshold says how much damage you can take without possibly dying.
Yeah, that's an old rule too that a lot of people don't like and don't use, but it's something that makes sense to me. It's like you only have 30 hit points, you get hit for 20. I mean, dude, That's like somebody throwing a spear through your chest.
Yeah. So, and then that's why you have that feat called enhanced damage threshold.
Yep.
So you could basically take it, and you have taking more hit points of damage. Anyway, okay, so poison. The fact is that in third edition, it has so much. You have so much opportunity. You can tweak. You can manipulate. If you want to be like in the Critical Role, you want to be Pumont Soul. You want to be. He's a Freeborg enchanter. He's one of the NPCs in the Critical Role.
Hey, okay. I know you love Critical Role, but this is not an advertisement for Critical Role.
Well, not here. I'm just saying, as an enchanter,
Okay.
he makes magic items.
Oh, okay.
In third edition, if you wanted to play a character and you want to play a wizard, and all you wanted to focus on is making magic items, you could do it. You could tweak your character, take the skill to make scrolls. I think that's the first one, and then you make wands.
I don't know about third edition, but I know Pathfinder there's like a whole bunch of different stuff
Yeah.
you can do for item creation, which is what we did in my group because for some fucking reason we're fighting these terrible like 14 hit die monsters that are just wandering the countryside, and they drop artwork. Like they don't have a nice weapon or anything. They just drop gold and artwork and jewels. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck am I supposed to do with this? So we would convert it into items because that's what was given to us.
Yeah.
But if you've got a guy that just made magic items, you'd have what the equivalent of the Matrix Keymaster,
Yeah.
where you just open up and be I'll dig it around in my where's
Well,
that wand?
but see the thing
You know,
is,
kind of a
they
thing.
dick this. The third edition dicks the guy because they don't believe that a referee will put a control on it.
What do you mean?
If you read in third edition D20 about craft wondrous item,
Okay.
be it potion, be it scroll, be it wand, initially,
Okay.
every time you make one, you lose experience.
Oh, I remember this rule. Yeah.
That is freaking bullshit.
Well, okay. So here's the funny thing. So here's the whole reason why they made this change. Because in second edition, what happens when you make a magic item? You lose Constitution, like one of the worst stats possible to lose. So you're this crappy wizard.
And it's really dumb because you are wandering around this place and you go to a shop.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's a wand and a couple of scrolls. They came from somewhere.
Yeah.
So
somebody just spent their life force to make it.
Yeah. So over time, the available scrolls and wands and things like that would stop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because nobody wants to give up their
who
life force for that
the heck wants
shit.
to
That's
make
dumb.
them? So
Yeah.
that was the thing that always bugged me because if you think about it in real life, you'd be like, this would be a world without scrolls, or they would be so expensive and so rare that forget it.
But one thing they don't do. Now I'm not sure. They just recently they released a game called Eberron. Okay, that originally was a D20 game, and I don't know. Was it originally a second edition game also?
I don't know.
I think it was just third.
Yeah.
Well, they just released a 5th edition game on Eberron, and they have a class called an artist fire, the people that do the artifacts, and so it's in art. You can make artifacts.
Oh, an artificer or whatever.
Yeah, the artificer.
Yeah.
So you can make a character that's an artificer, and it's freaking badass.
Mm-hmm.
But they're more like an amped Tinkerer Gnome. If you're familiar with the Tinkerer Gnomes, that's mainly from Dragonlance. But these guys.
Cool.
So what they do is they make clockwork beasts. They make low-level magic items, and so you can actually play one now, and they don't have that effect that they lose the experience. But they're kind of different.
What version are we talking about?
We're talking about 5th.
Okay.
Fifth
Whoa,
ever
so
on.
stop. So that means from third on, the whole time, the price of making items was experience. Like they never figured out that was a bad idea until fifth.
Yeah,
Are you saying like 3.5 and fourth edition? There was still experience cost.
same thing.
Yes, that didn't change.
Why? What?
But
I don't know.
but see, here's the
Yeah.
thing. Here's the thing. How do you deal with that? Anybody that plays any MMO game, most MMO games have crafting in it.
Yeah, they do.
You can basically say, if while you're adventuring or if while on your downtime you spend time crafting products and things for different people, you should build up experience that sits in a reserve, and anytime you go and make one of these magical items, it should offset the loss that you take.
The loss of
Experience.
Okay, because remember when I played Pathfinder, this was not how it worked.
So, for example, if you're not making a lot of magic items, you make it occasionally.
No, you would
if
never make magic items.
If someone comes up to you and says like, I don't know if you keep not talking in Gamma World about that. If like Cocker Libre wanted a equivalent of a magic item or some kind of enhanced
he does
item,
want like a new suit of armor.
but let's say he's making. So he goes to an artificer to make a custom body made a suit of armor for you.
Okay.
That's custom for you.
Yes.
But he's been working for years doing different things, different projects, building different widgets and stuff for different projects. He's built up a reserve of positive experience in this. And so when he goes up and decides to, you bring him the metal, you bring him the items he needs to build it, he goes and builds it. He wouldn't think twice about, because you're paying him. Maybe you brought in an item that he really wanted to look at or experiment with. He goes and builds your new suit of armor. He isn't worried about losing experience because his day-to-day operations have been building positive experience. So that is one way, possibly.
I mean, I understand the concept, and I think it's a good take on spending experience to make stuff. But to me, like, creating an item, you're only supposed to get better at it the more you do it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to give up experience at any point to create an item to me.
It's trying to manage.
Backwards.
It's trying to prevent certain individuals that we all know that would automatically go and have, if someone could make a ton of magic items.
But I played in a game where we could because we didn't spend experience to make stuff. We spent gold and time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so back second edition, a friend of mine came up with an idea of, it was either a wand or a short staff. But basically, it was a special crossbow that after a wand or short staff was done, let's say out of charge,
Okay.
you could actually use it as a slightly enhanced stake for vampires.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Because there was magic residual magic
Yeah.
left in it.
Right, and you
So
have to
there
have a
would be
magic weapon to hurt
so
a vampire.
basically you would have a slightly enhanced stake that would, technically up your chance of, striking and whatnot. But, the object was that he was like a kind of a Van Helsing character.
Yeah.
And he requested this special crossbow to do exactly that one thing. But the person that created that one thing, which was another person in the game, the house rule was, you're not going to take a con hit, by doing that because that's just stupid. You'd never want to create that.
Nobody would like.
Because that's
That makes so much sense. Why?
Unless the con hint was temporary.
No, not even temporary. Like it makes sense to me that you would be an evil wizard to make magic items because I'm not fucking sacrificing my con for that shit.
And the story at that time was, because we would do things in the between, right? So we'd have get-togethers to do our gaming, but in between we could, send messages back and forth to each other going, hey, how's this for an idea and can you make it? And then we'll track it through the game so that, with the communicating with the DM. So, because we'd only play once a month, but, let's say you came up with an idea 1 or 2 weeks, in between. Yeah, you could do that as a slightly independent function, and then just get with the DM and then say, hey, here's what happened, here's what we did, as long as we documented it right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was just because that allowed that ability to, hey, you know what? I thought of a neat idea. What about this, enhanced mithril net that could be tossed around certain creatures? That kind of a thing. So, it wasn't cheap. It was a specialty item. But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like I made up since I'm making up characters for a second edition game I'm running at the convention. I made up some items that a certain barbarian is going to be carrying. Barbarians in second edition are well known for not liking to carry magic weapons, not liking to carry anything having to do with magic because they believe it's like abhorrent to carry magic.
Okay.
But what I did was I said, you now know that divine and nature magics are not as perverse as you originally thought. It's more the arcane magic that is, because each of them are controlled. The divine and the nature magics are more controlled than the arcane.
Yeah.
So, like he has a tribal bag, okay, and he has these little bear claws, and every person in his tribe put an item into his bag, and they gave it to him when he became an adult, and they sealed the bag up, and the shaman cast a spell on it. Okay, so he has this bag, and basically he can give a +1 to hit for so many rounds to a target creature. He can give a minus to hit and damage to a target creature for a certain amount of rounds. He can give a target creature a curse of a -1 on a saving throw for so many rounds.
Does this ever scale, or is this just always?
No, it's just these 3 different choices. He has to make the choice, and he can do it so many times a day. Okay. And so he just basically has to do is he has to shake the bag and make a statement of something, like inspiration in 5th. It's basically you just give an enhancement, but it's a low level ability.
More like a cantrip almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't seem like super crazy or anything.
No, it's and then he has a whole bunch of little minor stuff that wouldn't bleep on any person's as like, oh, those are magical items, but they are some of these are all little magic items, but he has a person that's an alchemist that's basically herbs and poultices, so he doesn't have access to having a lot of clerics and a lot of people around him, so he has a medical kit, and he has little poultices and has little healing drafts that he can use, and he has the healing skill. So if he's going to try to cook something up to help an injured person, he can. But it only does a minuscule amount, but it's enough where he can aid somebody. Like somebody's like near death's door, and he's just going to but he's going to make his draft and give you some, maybe, I think at most he'll heal like a die 6.
Cure light wounds.
Yeah, well, actually, Cure Light's a little more than that, but
Well, Cure Light was always from my experience
die 8.
1d8 plus 1 to 5, depending on your level.
Yeah, but
Or cure, what is it? Cure minor. There was one that was less than that.
yeah. Well, there's the Cure Wound, which is a cantrip that cures 1 point of damage.
Yeah, 1.
But I'm sorry.
It's an in-between.
So Death's Door. Death's Door.
What is Death's
Okay.
Door?
Death's Door. When you go into
Damn it, Dwayne!
Okay.
Our dinosaur,
Okay.
our dragons, aliens.
When you go into negatives, you cannot. If you're healed while you're in the negatives, you're brought up to 0,
Okay.
and you have to wait like a round per negative till you wake up.
Okay.
All right, you're stabilized. Your wounds are bound.
Okay.
You're now at 0. You wait that time. You're at 1 hit point. Okay, for the next length of time, that's it's usually a turn. So if you went down to -2, 2 turns, you have to do light activity. You have to like move at 50% rate. You have to because you're still, you were touched by death itself, and so now you can heal. You can be healed like normal, but what Death's Door does is it says you're at -3. I cast Death's Door on you. You're back up to 1 hit point. You lose the counter of fatigued, slowed, dazed, all the little things that usually going into negatives does.
Okay.
You lose them all and can be healed and pop right back up.
This is 5th edition?
No, this is second edition.
I don't
It
remember
is in
this
the
at
book.
all. But when I played 2nd edition, I never really messed with divine magic.
Yeah.
So
But the thing was, what's the #1 rule? Don't go into the negatives.
yeah, it's usually pretty bad.
You die. So what happens is everyone, when I tell them this, they bitch and complain. I said, there's no problem. Just don't go into the negatives.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't have, because I wrote it down on people's character sheets when they were playing clerics or they're playing a druid.
Okay.
I wrote Death's Door and I put a question mark because it's up to them if they want to actually memorize Death's Door.
Yeah.
And, once I explain it to players what it's for, it's kind of like in 5th edition, the spell called Invenerate. The spell called Invenerate.
I don't know.
That's one basically brings you back to life.
Okay.
If you go into -3 death saves, Invenerate brings you back from death.
Are you trying to say enervate?
Maybe that's it. I thought it was Invenerate.
Innervate would be the
Innervate?
Yeah.
Is it? Is Innervate?
Yeah, because it would bring you back to at least 0.
Okay. Oh, I mean, like, I don't know
Yeah.
because I never played 5th edition,
Yeah.
but
Inner-
I know
think it's
innervate's a
called
word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it's called innervate. But yeah, it'd be equivalent to that, but not quite the loss of dazed or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what they do now. But the freaking thing now, it's like you have to spend a 350 or a 500 gold piece per diamond. That's the physical component of the spell.
For Death's Door?
No, for
Innervate.
Innervate.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's because you died, though, right? Basically.
Yes.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, and it's a way to suck people's money. So that's what That's
Well, hopefully the person you innervated would help subsidize their gain of life.
oh my god. Yeah, when I see it, I went like, the guy just fucking died. The guy just fucking died. And the guy's going, so what do I do? What kind of... He says, everything goes black. And the person was standing next to him said, what do you see? Well, you see his eyes go white. He slumps to the ground, and for an instant, you see some kind of shadowy image of him, like, separate from his body and just go poof. And it's like, oh, shit. Can we put a potion? No, it doesn't do anything. All this stuff. And they go, cleric! And had the cleric come up and go, he's dead! And he goes, and they pull out the pearl and did the spell, and just all of a sudden, the god just steps out and just goes,
It would be the touch of God.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he wakes up, the person wakes up,
Yeah.
and goes, what happened? Ow, this hurts.
But anyway.
Anyway, what time we got?
It's 9. You
Okay.
have to go home.
Soon.
Soon? Define soon, because we haven't even done the surveys yet.
Okay, well, this.
Let's break out the survey.
I guess we gotta clean up the table then. So yeah, it's always interesting how people react when it's like, hey, how about you don't get hurt? Because like in the Fringe-worthy game, oh my god, like Pat argues with me so much. It's like, dude, I have one. I have 1d4 plus 1 healing once a day.
Do you understand what a thematic action scene means?
No.
A thematic or cinematic.
Oh, cinematic, yes.
Like when the worm busted out of Paul's throat
Yeah,
and it was gonna go and attack Aaron.
yes.
And I stopped and I said bullet time, and Jason looked over, single shot, and he just pulled a gun as he's looking another direction and shot the thing out of the air, and it just evaporated.
Yep.
That was because he can do things like that.
It can, yeah.
And so when I gave have you read the game summary for this week?
I haven't yet. I'm going to.
Okay. Well, I gave Aaron a cinematic scene, and it's Pat being basically Pat.
I like how he wormed in another grenade throw at the end. It's like, dude, just fucking leave. What the fuck?
But see, that was Pat, and that wasn't Aaron's character. So what I did is I told him about it, and he used the grenades to make a bomb. The gasoline in the tanks is almost 60 years old.
Yep, that's pretty
It
skunky.
doesn't have... The only thing that really has the explosive capability is that the vapor inside the gas tank, which had a perfectly sealed...
Yeah, it would be pressurized. That's kind of it, right?
Okay, so... And then there was a...
I'm taking this one then, huh?
There was not a butane tank, but an acetylene tank in the.
Okay. Yes, we have that game somewhere in our Discord. So, here is a fun thing to help me because I said I do open world games. Let's start with the personality barometer test. You get to see me a lot. Because
Oh, do they have to? Are you forcing them to see
well,
you?
here's the thing. We have one person watching. They've been watching the whole time. They keep getting mad that I'm showing you guys, but you guys were doing most of the talking. And I think they want to see me. But more than that...
Why would they want to see you?
They're interested in me.
Oh.
You're an interesting person.
Yes.
Oh.
But, anyway... Hi, by the way.
Is there a reason why you think he's... No, let's see.
We'll talk about that off mic. But we're going to show me because while you guys are filling those out, we're going to go, back and forth between the two of you guys. I am going to show, the said questions. Actually, no, I'll probably read them out because I don't know if I can get the camera to focus. But that way you guys can focus on answering the questions.
You should get one of those...
You know what I mean?
Are there a bed reader you can read where it's like a light board, but you can actually put it up
Is it for a camera?
for a camera?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to Pat.
Because that would probably be a really good
Do
thing
you know
for
anything
you.
about that, Dom?
I'm sorry.
He was saying like a bed reader, but for a webcam.
So basically, you know how he held his picture up to the camera and it's out of focus. What I'm saying is he can actually put it in on a light board and it has a camera fit on it, so you could basically...
You could, or you have it as a separate file that you'd have.
You'd have the scan.
Yeah. Well, normally, actually, that's what we did when we were doing the power gaming thing. Is there's a way to put the feed on the computer into another window, but being that I didn't have time to upload these.
Why didn't you?
Well, I did not know I could have used Dom's printer, so I was all the way across town at my parents' feverishly coming up with these
You have any
surveys.
water?
Yes, inside the refrigerator on the top shelf is a pitcher of filtered water.
Okay. Please explain.
So, what we're going to do is I will read these questions on the personality one to the audience, and then, you guys will fill it out, although Dom's already jumped ahead. And then we'll go over it. The personality one, a little bit less important than the end of the world quiz. That one will be much more fun. And the order method will make more sense than the personality one. So the first one is list these genres in order of personal interest: science fiction, fantasy, mystery, suspense, thriller combined, war drama, and horror. So I'm just asking you, like, hey, which of these are most interesting to least interesting? And Dom, you already have yours filled out, or are you still trying to order it?
No, I'm done.
You're done. So
I do it slightly different though, because there's
Okay.
a subsection of science fiction called military science fiction,
Okay.
which would be more the war drama aspect. But yeah, anyway, that's fine.
So okay, but like, say what your answer
Okay,
is.
so science fiction, war drama, fantasy, horror, and then the MST, the mystery, suspense, thriller.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say sci-fi, though, that's like military sci-fi? Is that
Well,
what you were
there
saying?
would be a subsection that would kind of, I would actually put that more in the war drama aspect, which would be
Okay.
John Ringo, Michael Z. Williamson. You ever read much Baen? Baen. It's a printing house,
Okay.
but their focus is they do a lot of military science fiction. Larry Correia.
Okay. So more than just war drama, you like
Yeah.
this specific.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Did you make a note of that on your? Because this is for me in the end.
Okay, so
Yeah,
put that
just
here.
make a note of that so I know when I look back at it, because it's gonna help me make the game specifically tailored for my players.
So I took sci-fi, MST, horror, fantasy, war drama.
Okay, so you guys are both. I wonder what Pat's gonna say, and I wonder what our other future members of our party are going to say when we, hopefully get other players in this game.
I basically once I discovered like Call of Cthulhu,
Okay.
I kind of faded out of a lot of D&D games, and I just did mostly. And then I made my Centennial City up, which it's horror, MST,
Okay.
mystery, suspense, thriller.
It's interesting after saying that, though, that horror is your middle rank.
Yeah.
You like the other, you like sci-fi, and you like MST more. Like, if you had to choose between purest categories, that's how you break it down.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say, I would say sci-fi MST is one category, and then horror is the second category. Then fantasy and war drama is another one. I mean, I could if you switch them in MST with sci-fi, it's just more than horror. And what I mean is in horror, like, I don't like fated stuff where fated is being, there is no hope.
Oh, okay.
There
so
is
mean,
no chance.
Oh, fated.
Fated.
Yeah. Okay. I see what
Okay.
you're
You're fated to fail. You will fail. Now, Call of Cthulhu.
I was gonna say, isn't that Call of Cthulhu though?
Yes and no. There is an aspect of you can't escape this.
Yeah.
It may not be easy. It
But
may
the
not be
more you-
possible, but
yeah.
there is still that aspect of
Yeah.
you can still get out of this.
But
So,
anyway,
Okay, so I need to feed my cat. I'm gonna say the next question. You guys plow along
Okay.
through it. If you could change one thing about yourself, it would be, and then this is within reason, like being younger, even like I want to start over as a kid again. that's reasonable. Saying I want eternal youth or some other crazy shit, no. So
No.
Is this for the character or is this for the person?
this is for you.
Oh, okay.
This is not none of this on the personality thing is a character. I'm asking you,
Okay.
specifically.
Okay.
Asia, are you hungry? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Are you hungry? Oh, sleepy little whiner.
Okay. Check for affectionate towards. Circle 1, circle for no opinion. X for dislike. Circle entire choice for 1 you like.
Hey, whoa! Don't get ahead there. Just relax.
Well, we're just kind of waiting.
You're the one that has a lot of pages.
You guys decided really fast what you want to change about yourself.
Well, because you clarified that
Let's
we're
just
talking
say-
about person versus.
Let's just say it's something I've given a lot of thought about. So.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. So, what would you change about yourself? I guess Dom, you went first last time, so let's stick with it.
I would go with you with the youth, but with the caveat of because of certain things that happened when I was younger, which affected future condition. The having skipped that, because being hit by a drunk driver affected things. Having hepatitis affected things. So youth definitely, but with the foresight of certain things not having happened.
Okay. Interesting. So more like a do-over. You would like
Kind
a
of a- yeah.
do-over.
Yeah.
But is this retaining your knowledge or just
Well,
like do-over?
I was a weightlifter at one point.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
because of being hit by a drunk driver and having hepatitis and a couple other things, affected that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, things, skipping over those health issues to maintain my condition.
Okay.
So, yeah, that kind of.
At this point, you would like to be a healthier version of you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I would take about be more of a risk taker.
Be more of a risk taker.
That was my problem. I took a lot of risks.
And
Very interesting. Okay. And this is something you can actually change about yourself now, but you feel like
if you
can't.
say it in aspect, because that's, it's kind of like, do you go that path or you do go that path, and there's a tendency of not going down that path in certain decisions.
Is this like, for example, when you were talking about, I wish players would understand there's more to the game than combat, and I was like, well, be more rewarding for non-combat stuff. And then I look at our experience breakdown, and it's still kind of small for the non-combat stuff. Is this what you're talking about?
Well, actually, no. I mean, I've actually, in the last one, yeah, that was very small because you haven't discovered anything impactful because you guys kind of skirted everything
We did
in the game. So there are other situations to investigate. I mean, dude, I won't tell you how much of this hospital I have written out.
Yeah, we've avoided
Room descriptions and
we
this lab and that
we played
lab.
it safe in your face.
Yeah, and then somebody mentioned about who Grant is.
Yeah.
I have his office. I have all these other areas that are there to be discovered, and you guys are running away now. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you play a team with a structured chain of command, and this is how your this is how your commanding officer chooses how to run the team. Like, unless you want us to start running off AWOL, I mean, he says we're going to do this. That's what we're doing.
It's just when I wrote up the Citic Temple. How do I know that fricking Jason is gonna pull the drone thing out of his ass?
Yeah, that was a little surprising. I didn't think he was the type to play around with drones, but he wanted to.
And I went, you motherfucker. So now all these hundreds and hundreds of infected and all the parking areas and all the MASH units and all the stuff, and it's like, you're not going through any of it.
So did you do this
Oh.
next part? Because we already went over the second one.
Well, no, you haven't. I was gonna do that, and you said, wait, stop.
Oh yeah, but now
Okay.
we did number 2 already.
Check for affectionate
So
towards.
number 3 is
Circle for no.
kind of a gauge for how do you feel about common pets.
Okay.
So that would be like dogs,
So-
cats, parrots, or other types of birds. Blah
Okay,
blah.
so just for me,
Yeah.
'cause your instructions are just a little ambiguous.
Yes.
So circle for no opinion. Is that put a circle where there's the dash? Just put a circle right there.
Yes,
Okay, and
because
then
if
there's
you
an
circle
X.
the entire thing,
Yeah.
that means you have owned or you do own and you like the animal.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, like a little, basically an O on the underscore tells me no opinion. Or if you circle the whole thing, that's like, yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be dogs, cats, parrots, other birds as a separate choice, like, I don't know, like ducks. Snakes, rats / mice,
So circles, no opinion.
ferret. The little, like an O. If you put an O where the underscore is, that's
Oh,
like
okay.
you don't care either way. If you circle the whole thing, that means you either own it and like it, or
Yeah.
you have owned it and you really like them.
Okay.
Ferrets, gerbils or hamsters. I put that as one choice. Got insects, arachnids like tarantulas, for example, or ants, bugs, basically. Fish, hermit crab. My experiences are usually together. Octopi or eel, frog, toad, ape or monkey. Kind of rarer, but people have them as pets. Salamander, rabbit, chinchilla, opossum, skunk, or something not listed. You
Now,
never know.
amazingly enough, I have circled a possum skunk.
It was very interesting,
I had a pet skunk
and you really
for
liked
a long
it.
time, and well, as long as it was alive, they only last about 4 years.
Oh,
But,
that's a bummer.
he was a wild skunk,
Okay,
but I went camping. I was 13.
okay.
Sat down. I was camping out in the backyard. My parents have property, so I was out, and I heard a and looked over, and there was a skunk next to me. And the secret about skunks is you don't move.
Oh, I did not know
You
that.
don't move.
Guess just stay still.
No rapid movement. You just calm. Because they're a lot like cats in that regard.
okay.
Just calm. So I happened to be eating a sandwich, so I have a bite and gave him a bite, gave him a bite, and it went away. It's like, okay, fine. So next morning, packed everything up, went home. Next weekend, went out again.
There it was again.
It showed up.
Look at
And
that.
over a period of about 4 years, we'd, basically just kind of hang out and watch the fire, and I'd give him food, and he'd hang out and scratch him. Yeah, it was great. It was like having a cat.
It's pretty cool.
Except it was a cat I wasn't allergic to, which was awesome.
Oh, there you go.
They have no dander.
No dander. And the cool thing about skunks is you can actually get skunks as real pets. Certain states you can do that because they get
Deglanded or something.
or whatever. Is that they take the same shots as cats.
Oh.
So same thing with ferrets.
So they are in the feline family?
No, they're just similar issues.
Okay.
Like one is like feline leukemia.
Are you
There's a
doing
version
that?
of skunk that it's
Has
a
a
thing that can
similar-
affect them
okay.
as well. And then so my fun ones. I had no dislikes actively.
Oh,
I
that
just-
is interesting.
I just really, because it's like, whatever. I may not have one, but they don't necessarily bother me. Dogs I like, fish I like, ferrets absolutely. I had a bonded pair,
Oh, okay.
and skunk. That doesn't bother me. Other than that, it's kind of like, whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
So
What about you, Dwayne?
What?
Are you still going through your list?
No, I already gone through it. I had dogs and cats. I didn't like snakes. My snakes or rats or insects or.
Were you afraid of any of them? It's a lot of thinking, so I'm gonna go with no.
Spiders. Spiders I don't like. Basically, because I had my mom was allergic to like bees and stuff like that,
Okay.
and I've never been bit, but I've always been apprehensive of like bees and wasps.
Okay.
So it's like, um, so I'm not. I'm gonna. You see those videos where they go in and they kill wasp nests, and then they pour hot metal down the wasp nest,
Yep.
and they make those like it's kind of like a sculpture.
Yep.
Out of that stuff.
With fire ants and yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of stuff's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And you realize that how many thousands of the insects died.
Mm-hmm.
And they always seem to be set in like Texas or Oklahoma.
Like Africanized bees and things like that. Yeah, but killer bees.
Yeah. So
Okay.
speaking of, oh wait, did you finish your list?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got nothing on anything past the bugs.
Well, no, I got zeros. You say
Okay. What about something you care about, one way or the other?
dogs and cats are the only ones.
Okay. So this is the fun one. List your greatest fears in order of most feared. You have to think about your number one. I mean, I can tell you my number one off the top of my head.
Well, it depends on how how serious. I mean, you can give a generic fear.
You don't have to be super. Look at man here. Like for me, falling from a great height, I'd probably piss myself and pass out. Like that's my number one fear.
Yeah, I can follow that.
Parachuting, no, never happening.
Well, I had to do a rappelling off a fire tower.
Yeah. How was that?
Freaking, because you know how you're rappelling, holding the rope here and here.
Yep.
You're supposed to keep it out,
Yep.
and it just went. Just. So it was locked up.
Yeah, and you were stuck.
Yeah.
Sounds shitty.
Oh yeah.
Sounds really shitty. For me, that'd be double shitty because I'm afraid of heights, obviously.
I'm not afraid of heights.
I'm like afraid of heights, but I could deal with it. But that's like, falling from a great height is a way different. That's a separate thing for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Dom, man of few fears, apparently. Thinking
Well,
pretty hard there.
Most of my fears, because physical fear isn't really a big deal.
You can put stuff that's not physical
but
either.
most of
You afraid
mine
of
are-
ghosts?
Well, if I ever come across one, I'll let you know. I've been in areas which weird things have happened.
Weird thing. Do you want to describe any of these strange
I would say
phenomena?
more poltergeisty kind of stuff.
Like
Old houses in New Hampshire.
see-through things?
No, never saw any actual apparition.
Movement?
I have seen movement.
Oh, okay. Like a moving teacup or something?
Yes, chairs, lights going on and off, doors opening and closing.
Well, I had that.
blah,
Yeah,
blah,
I've
blah.
had that happen before.
Yeah, that would
But
freak me
nothing
out.
where I've actually seen. Well, okay, no, I can't say that. There were specifically 2 instances, but that was it.
There-
You could put that. Yeah,
But it wasn't a fear. That was the thing. I never got a fear from it.
Okay, then don't put
So
it.
yeah, so I think, and it's hard to classify, because I've had dreams about this. It was specifically, well, I guess it clear is two specific ones. This fear of not being there for loved ones if something happens, which
Okay.
for me drives me crazy when I underground.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I understand that. That's
And
legitimate.
then fear of not being needed.
Oh, and those are connected too.
And those are more
Interesting enough.
psychological than
Yeah.
actual
But that's
physical.
perfectly fine to put
Yeah.
there too. You know, it's things like that. Feel free to put it down.
Yeah. But there was an aspect to this where I had this dream,
Okay.
and it was kind of in the first Terminator movie where they were kind of going into the story of going into the underground and walking
Yeah.
around and things like that,
Okay.
where something was happening behind me, and I'm hounding people away, going,
Okay.
go! I knew it wasn't going to affect me, but it was going to affect everybody that didn't respond.
Okay.
So it was me running down these corridors going, get out, go! And looking behind me, and the corridor behind me is literally falling apart.
Oh, wow.
And I'm forcing people away, and some people weren't listening, but I couldn't stay. I kept, the only thing I do was, you gotta run, and then continuing on and just trying to hound as many people in front of me as I could.
So, how would you even describe that? A fear of.
Oh, I had a dream once. I was a bounty hunter, and I had to hunt one of my sisters down.
Well, you're afraid of that, though.
No. See, that's
But were you afraid that you weren't afraid of it?
in a way, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think at some point I should have had a healthy fear of some things that I didn't.
It's interesting. You want to put that down then?
Where I should have had a fear.
Fear of the absence of fear in
Yeah.
certain situations.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. The fear of a lack of fear.
I guess the dream you're talking about, a fear of getting people to help themselves. Would you describe it as that?
I'm trying to remember because it was after a particular movie. Now it's a really obscure one.
No, so it's not Terminator.
No, but it's kind of a similar thing where you're down in the underground. It was a really, really obscure movie from like the late 50s and 60s. And I've only seen it once, and I never saw it again.
I can't help you there, man.
But well, it's like the creature from 5000 BC, which almost nobody has
Oh,
seen.
the one in
man.
San Francisco.
Well, it was a
The black and white one they killed with a submarine.
No. This was basically the creature from 5000 BC was the result of a time machine. So this guy creates a time machine, and he was like bringing things from the past to the present. One of those was a creature.
Are you talking about the creature that dies in the Colosseum where he kills an elephant, an African elephant?
No. It takes place like in a big, like a plantation house. It's like on a Louisiana bayou kind of a thing.
Okay.
And this creature actually comes through the portal and appears and basically touches you and kills you. And
That's
it's
it.
just
That's all it takes.
it's like sparkles. It's like so problem was I was 10. I had already been, jacked on cat, so I was already having an asthma attack and allergies were kicking in. And then my dad turns that movie on, and it was at a certain point where the thing jumps out, and it was just, I'm done. And that Dominic ended up going to the hospital. So but that movie made an impression on me. So it's the creature from 5000 BC.
You can put that down if you want.
Yeah. No, I mean it was startling. I think it had to do with the TV all of a sudden got filled with sparkles, and it was just like I'm already having problems breathing,
Okay.
and it was like.
You're not afraid of it anymore.
I'm not afraid of
Okay.
it, but I actually went out and got the movie
Oh, okay.
just because I'm like
Face
I
your
want to
fears.
see the whole movie again, just because I missed a lot of it. So yeah, basically it's a fear of I'm the type of person that reacts to an emergency and then falls apart later.
Okay.
When
So-
I have time. It's like, okay, time to fall apart. But during the event, Trina's seen this. This
Okay.
is something happens, and I just go blank. Take care of it, and then fall apart later. So, definitely got that from my dad. But anyway,
What are you afraid of, Tom? What are you afraid of?
I don't know. That's the kind of question. To be honest, I never really sat down and really thought about.
All your life.
Other than those two things.
All your life. That's pretty. I mean, if you only have those two
But
things.
those are
okay.
those are very psychological. They're not necessarily physical.
Doesn't
I mean,
have to be physical.
I've been bit by black widows. I'm not necessarily afraid of them, but because I had one crawling up my shirt and my whole family freaked out. And I went bink and stepped on it.
My brother stepped on it, and eventually it cost him his foot.
Well, I didn't step on it with bare feet.
Yeah.
So,
the
but anyway,
the foot is the worst side of the body to ever get a wound on, because it's the slowest to heal.
Yeah.
And in certain types of conditions, you can basically get neuropathy. And that it's bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if that's all Dom's putting, what about you, Dwayne?
I did Fear of Heights.
So you're number one?
Yeah, it's number one.
Oh, you went repelling?
Huh?
You went repelling?
Well, I did repelling because it was required, but it's just I fell from a couple places, and
yeah, falling sucks, dude.
Well, no, it's the sudden stopping that sucks.
It's all terrible for me personally.
But
I hate it all.
But there's a place you can go in. Oh God, where is it? It's out of the country, but they have this skyscraper, and you can step out into a glass enclosure.
Oh, no, thanks for me.
Okay, you're out of the building, and you're in a glass enclosure, and you can look straight down, and there's nothing supporting you other than this glass that you're standing on.
I think I've seen that on the internet, and I was just like, no.
And then a couple weeks ago, they went on top of the Empire State Building, and they showed you where the landing where everybody goes and Harry met Sally, and that observation deck. Well, then they take you to another observation deck that's above it. Okay, it's higher up. It's near where the mast is, and they this guy, as he goes up to it, he said before he opens the door, he puts a strap on this guy, and he puts a strap on him, and he straps it onto the interior part of the door. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, when I open the door, you might get sucked out." And so he opened the door, and it's like he's leaning out because the wind just from the entire building coming through the building, it was the pressure was going out.
Yeah.
And he stumbled out, but the guy caught him. And if he hadn't had it on, he might have gone over the building. And I just looked at it and I says, no fucking way. There is one thing that I still would like to do, and I wonder if I could do it, which is go on the walk on the Golden Gate Bridge, and you walk up the wire.
Oh wow.
Oh,
You walk up the wire.
I did that on the Bay Bridge.
And you go into the top, and to the top of the pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk up that rope. You're holding two little ropes, and you've got a ring. You got a strap on your waist, and you got to connect it to a big leather, and it goes around the loop, and you follow it along, and you move the loops over these little.
Yeah, no, not me.
You clip them.
Not me.
Them
I would not
I
do
did
that.
that on the Bay Bridge back in 2003. We installed. There's a telecom.
Yeah.
On the old the section they took down.
Yeah.
There used to be a telecom cabinet. Second pillar facing south, because that's where they connected all the cameras to that were on that part of the bridge. And I had to go up there and install a switch.
Wow.
Connect it. Yep.
The job is
Hard
not
hat,
for me.
special grippy shoes.
Yeah, and you had to have that one where you got to connect it so you don't get electrocuted.
Yep. Yeah, you were grounded. Yeah, it was a grounded thing. Yeah, that was fun. It took about an hour to get up there.
Then I would go. The second one probably would be fear of losing family members.
Okay.
Because I've lost a lot of my family members, and it's never a good feeling. And the last one is homelessness.
Oh, really? Homelessness?
Because where I used to work in the Bay Area, I made a lot of money. I had a lot more security. And then come out here, get a house, lose my job, and I'm here taking care of my grandmother who's depending on me, getting, finding some job, and it's just those things, I thought when I was working in the Bay Area, I thought I was going to retire when I worked at Sun Microsystems. I thought I was going to retire there, and it was kind of like when I left there, they kind of like went. I came back a couple days later, and I wanted to talk to one of the employees, and I came walking up, and they treated me like I was some kind of foreign national.
Really?
And
This is
it's
a guy
like
you knew before.
I worked for them for 8 years.
But the person you went up and talked to knew you or no?
Yeah, they knew who I was, and the guard at the gate knew who I was. And I came up and said, "Hey, what's up?" And he said, "Oh, how you doing?" He said, "I thought you were I thought you left." And I said, "Yeah, I did leave. I quit the company a couple days ago. Can you get such and such individual? I need to talk to him." "What are you doing here?" And I'm going, here to talk to a certain individual. I need to talk to the supervisor. I didn't talk to him before I left. I want to make sure I talk to him. Okay, just sit over there. And then they called one of the security manager came out, and another supervisor came out, and it's like, what is going on? I left the company 2 days ago, and you guys are acting like idiots.
Well, they're probably afraid you're gonna shoot the place up or something.
Yeah,
because.
Yeah, just that. Remember, but that was about, I think, a couple years after the ESL shooting.
Oh well,
in
yeah,
Sunnyvale.
see, there you go.
But so then pet peeves.
Yeah, pet peeves, Dom. I guess you're ahead of
Yeah.
Dwayne because.
No, I've got them. I've already got my pet peeves written down.
Oh. Okay.
Ignorance being the top.
Man, you must deal with this on a daily basis. I see you're active on social media.
Avoidance of learning.
Connected. Okay.
Whining. And liberalism.
Liberalism.
I got enough. Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. So, what? Try not to make this too lengthy, but how would you define liberalism?
I think what it comes down to is the uneducated total acceptance of things that make no sense.
Can I pick them up? Can I pick her up?
She hates being held, but
Oh.
when she does that, she wants you to pet her. She's whining a lot, though. Maybe you're overstimulating her.
And I have a tendency of holding the Frank Herbert view of liberalism, which is
Oh, okay.
and Heinlein as well.
Oh, that's kind of a.
Well, so Frank Herbert basically termed liberalism as the absolute worst in regards to acceptance.
Okay, so
Because
very closed-mindedness.
Extreme closed-mindedness in the declaration that they're the ultimate open-mindedness.
Yeah.
So is it the hypocrisy?
It's all hypocrisy. That's the problem.
Okay.
It's so not to say that other types of isms aren't,
Well,
but
that's a good way to put it.
But I find that liberalism is probably the worst when it comes to hypocrisy.
Okay. So out of everything you could choose, if you're trying to pick one thing when it comes to liberalism and it annoying you, it would be the hypocrisy
Yes,
aspect.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was not at the top of your list?
No, because to be honest, ignorance, and this is where most liberals operate, I think, is
Okay.
they have a tendency of just blindly accepting without actually going and looking and
Anybody in the DMC.
pretty much. But yeah, so it's if you're willing to sit and listen and talk, more power to you.
Okay.
But if there's just a blind acceptance of just cause,
Yeah. There's a
You know,
lot of
I
that
mean,
out
it's
there.
one thing of finding somebody. You know, if a person does something genuinely stupid or just wrong, okay, fine, I get that. But if it comes down to I just don't like them, just cause, that's not a reason.
Okay.
I have to live with people that I don't necessarily like every day. That doesn't mean I run around going, "You suck." No, it's just because you can't like everybody.
No, you cannot.
And if you try to, you will be ultimately a very unhappy person.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an aspect of discernment, and you know, and discernment and judgmentalism are different.
Yes.
Being judgmental is just making proclamations based on a lack of education, really.
All right.
Whereas discernment, you're making a judgment call based on either prior experience or something that you've experienced prior that has made an impression on you.
Okay.
So, if you don't like a certain person because he's loud and obnoxious and crass, fine, I get that. But you're being that doesn't necessarily disqualify him as a leader. It just means he's loud, obnoxious, and crass.
Yes.
But if the guy makes good choices on how things are done, I'm willing to tolerate the crassness as long as things get done.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean I'll be going over to his house and drinking beer with him. It just means I will accept the things I cannot change if the person's activities kind of follow along with mine.
Okay. I think that makes things pretty clear.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's the difference between discernment and being judgmental. Judgmental, you just kind of off the cuff, without really searching and defining what you are really, doing. That's the grand call of racism. You're racist. How? As I've had somebody do that to me, and then I pulled out my picture of
Your
Trina.
family?
Yeah. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, now,
Yeah.
why did you say that?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, did in any way, if somebody said a certain thing, did it in any way prevent anybody of a different ethnicity or anything like that from being able to do anything they wanted to do? Well, no. Then it's not racism.
Yeah. But people do love to just shout stuff.
Oh yeah, because it's a reactionary word,
Yeah.
and because it's a hard word to fight against.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have an entire phone full of anti-racism. So, but that's not normal.
No, they usually don't run into that. I think. So
It's not something you run into every day. But and again, it's very unfortunate because certain people have learned that is a word that puts you automatically on a defensive. Automatically.
it's a lot of. I think what you're trying to say, in very precise terms, is a lot of what we deal with is people basically using terms or words, and they've been indoctrinated into using these things without really understanding what they are or why
Yeah,
they're using them
exactly.
or how they're supposed to.
Because in the effort of trying to determine, let's say you're in a classroom,
Yes.
and in the effort of trying to ask the question of your teacher, why do you say that? They automatically throw it back in your face. Well, you must be racist too. No, I want to understand why you think that. Maybe what I'm thinking is wrong, or maybe I need to understand better why you think the way it is you are, and it will help me react to you in a different way.
Yes.
Because I have to reach a happy medium somehow.
This is actually a common conversation I've had with people both on and offline, which is engage people in debate and change their mind. Don't just talk down to them.
No.
It doesn't help
And
anybody.
again, as soon as you pull out that word, it's like, fine, I cannot get through to you.
Yeah.
You've just closed the door. What can I say? There's nothing I can say. Unless you are ultimately willing to just sit down and go, okay, what do you really mean by that? So, if they're willing to entertain that question, maybe there's hope. But if they're just going to sit there and go, you're this, and walk away, fuck, I get nothing for you.
Okay.
I hear that all the time. Yeah.
Is that your list?
That's my list.
Dwayne.
Mine's are people following the PC generation instead of understanding and
So it sounds like what we were just talking about.
Yeah. Ignorance, avoidance of learning, whining, and liberalism.
people that just one of the thing that pisses me off is now not just being working security. I had someone say that I was very close. Like, well, Dwayne will play the paladin, you know, and I'm going, what do you mean? Because I played paladins before in D&D games, and is one of the ones I don't like is people that disregard rules and teach their kids to do the same because they don't matter in their minds.
See, yeah, that's yeah. There has to be a set of standards.
I'll give you an example. I know somebody that when he goes into a restaurant, they'll steal all the ketchup packets and sugar packets and throw them in their wife's purse.
Wow.
Or if
they're the reason why we get charged for like extra sauce.
Yeah.
In other words.
They'll go into a bathroom at a place, and if there's an extra roll of toilet paper on side, they'll take it.
Yuck.
And they'll say, or they'll do thing like
and they'll feel like it's their right to have it.
Yeah. Or they'll do something where they get something and they've got to complain about the food or something. Mm-hmm. And when the person says, okay, I'll fix that, and what they're going to do is they're going to go throw it out. And the person will say, well, no, if you're going to throw it out, I'll just take it. But I want a new one.
Yeah, they're just trying to get as much as they can. They're basically trying to fuck everybody else and give me more stuff.
Yeah, they're trying to mooch. And then the other one is entitlement.
Which was kind of related to the way you were saying, but I get it.
The people, I have some people that I've worked at before that come across entitled, and if I ever question on something, the first thing they pull out is they pull out the race card.
Okay. And
irregardless of me ever saying anything or doing anything, they would pull out the woman card. Oh, you're doing this because you're degrading me, especially with this new the women's the Me
Too stuff.
The Me 2K stuff.
Okay.
You can't you have to walk on eggshells. About everything.
And I find it in areas of the country. Some areas of the country are more acclimated, or more likely to do that.
Like for example, we had a guy today. He came out. He had a gastro appointment.
Okay.
And he said, as he comes out, he says, his wife goes up and says, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yeah, I'm 50." And the one girl at our front desk says, "Uh-oh." And I kind of go, "Don't worry, it's okay. The test's okay." Man, at 50, the first thing you have to do is you have to take a colonoscopy test.
Yeah.
All minutes at 50 should go in for their colonoscopy test. And it is like not the thing that men will talk about, but you see, the woman understood.
Yeah, immediately.
The guy had made the joke, and she basically reacted to it. But if I had said anything and somebody else was there, I could have got reported, because that's talking about a patient's medical condition to other people.
Well, it's a HIPAA thing.
It's a HIPAA thing.
Okay. So What I'm picking up is you are bothered most by this, this specific list item by hypocrisy. It sounds like,
Yeah.
or by
Well, I mean,
uneven treatment.
if you think of how things were, and it's probably better for he and I to, because we've been around a little bit longer, like for the last couple of decades, there were things in the '90s that were just commonly said
Yeah.
that forget now, and nobody took offense to it. It was just, it was what it was. Everybody accepted it in the spirit in which it was given.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and joking was a lot more than now, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
It's no fun. But, and I noticed that change back in the early '90s.
Okay.
When the Clintons came into presidency, and at the time I was in the Navy. So, part of the job I had at the time was actually getting people signed in on board the ship I was on. So they had to stop at my office, and I had to get them put into my system so I could track their man hours. And this one girl, black girl, she was probably 19 at the time, she comes in the office, and I get her signed in, and I looked at her and I said, "You go to college?" She's like, "Well, black people go to school too." I said, "Whoa, wait a second."
Whoa.
I said, "The only reason I bring that up is that you have 2 years of school. You should be an E3, not an E2." I said, "Somebody left that out. You should be one rank higher than you are." And she got all kinds of embarrassed, and they said,
Yeah, she should have. What the
make,
fuck?
don't make that assumption, because if you do that, nobody's going to want to help you. He said, "You're just coming on board, just out of boot. This little girl just came out of boot camp.
Yeah,
She
19.
graduated-
Yeah.
She graduated when she was 17, 2 years of college, and decided to go into the Navy. She should have been one rank higher. I mean, that's the rule."
Yeah.
So when I brought that up, it's like, "Oh, you went to college?" "Well, okay, whoa, time out," And that didn't get better. Boy, did I see that a lot. And it really started early to mid '90s. That started.
Yeah.
That assumption of you're just you're asking the question out of malice, rather than just informationally trying to understand. Hey, maybe you missed something. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There was an automatic assumption of you're down on me. Something's wrong. Blah blah blah. No, I was about I'm trying to help you because you should be a different rank than you are now. So yeah, I think that people are all too often ready to jump on things that really are really harmless and not intended for the way they are taken. So okay, so what did Robert Heinlein said? What are the signs that a culture is dying? And then what is the sign that a culture is dead?
Oh, this is interesting.
And that one sign was the death of manners.
Yeah, we
where
are
where
very.
the assumption is that I'm going to try to one up you, I'm going to try to get past you, I'm going to try to run you over. No please, no thank you. I'm going to take you for everything you got. That is the sign. That is the sign of a death of a culture.
I would say that's where we are. Yeah.
That's where we are.
Been there for a while.
Yeah. I'd say a good 15, 20 years now.
Well, I had an example of that where I'm looking in my back. I'm at my mom's house, and I'm looking in the backyard, and I see these kids running across their roof.
The roof?
The roof on the top of their house.
Just running?
Yeah, they're just running around the top of the roof, and I'm kind of going, "What the fuck
What
are they doing on the roof?"
fuck?
And I come out and I look at them, and they give me this kind of dirty look, like, "Who the fuck you looking at?" And they're like 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
And I come around the neighborhood. I walk up to the front area, and there's 2 girls. They're probably like 11 or 12. And I said, "Where's your mom? Or your dad?" "Why?" And I said, "Where's your parents?" And they go, "They're inside." I go, "Okay." And if I had done that when I was a kid, yeah, I'd be spanked. You don't backtalk to an adult. And I walk in and I says,
I can understand. Like, for me, you get what you give, what you're given. But, like, if somebody's just like, "Hey, where's your parents?" That's like totally uncalled for attitude.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, this is the kind of a difference between East Coast and West Coast. I grew up in the East Coast, so especially in the neighborhood, I knew all the parents. All the parents knew me. So if something was going on, I knew I wasn't going to get away with it. Somebody's going to see it,
Yeah.
and either they were going to take care of it, or they were going to take me home to my parents and make sure it was taken care of. So yeah, I think it really depends on location.
But actually, even here, I spent most of my life in this city, and I remember as a kid, we knew most of the neighbors. We
Yeah.
did. Over time, people left or moved and stuff, and they became
Yeah.
strangers.
Yep.
Times changed.
So anyway, yeah. All right.
What else, Dwayne?
For pet peeves, that's what
Yeah, that was it.
that was the ones I had.
All right. So the next one is, unfortunately, list of disabilities, physical or otherwise.
All right, I have the vision issue and weight issue.
Why don't you ever wear your glasses, dude?
Huh?
Why don't you ever wear your glasses?
Because the issue that I'm having, and I bring my glasses to the game.
I've seen you wear them before, yeah.
Yeah, it's only when out in dim light or in glare.
Oh, okay. So you have a light issue.
Yeah, so it's just out here. It's like this is bright enough, but if you've got some small tight, and it's on colored paper. Like what happened in third edition, which is really bad, is when the books.
It's not just third edition, but yeah, I know what you mean. Tiny print and the pages are colored. Sometimes they have different backgrounds too. No, it's not just the same colored background.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, it is. I suffer from pretty bad color blindness, just FYI.
So asthma allergies, more specifically cats.
Yeah, which is actually your allergies aren't bothering you at all?
Oh, I'm trying not to touch anything. Vision, shoulders, and weight. But weight I'm working on. Vision's just popping up, and that's just age. So, yeah, that's it.
What's it says? If you could have one, which of the latest models would you choose from? Circle the entire option.
Yes, so those would be a smartphone, a desktop computer, a laptop, a tablet, or something else within the price range of these other items. It does not have to be an electronic, just FYI. That's why I put that option there. Because these are all electronics, but if that's not your thing, something like that computer is pretty expensive, like $3,500, for example. There's a lot of different things you can have for $3,500. So that's
$3,500.
yes, it's a gaming computer specifically.
Yeah, so that would be what that
Alienware.
would be
That's
the
like an
thing.
Alienware.
Something like that.
Yeah, that would be the thing, unless I could get an equivalent laptop, but a
Freaking
upgraded desktop. So anyway,
Freaking laptops
That's mine.
and laptops and tablets are a waste.
But
They're a waste
fill a butt.
if they would fix the inherent thing that makes them a waste, they would be worth having.
What is it that makes them a waste?
A laptop expires its usefulness too fast.
Fair.
Its battery is totally inefficient, and within a couple months you will start seeing a degrade of your battery life because of the term battery memory.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard of this before.
So you can't update laptops.
You cannot. That's true.
Well, I mean, you can upgrade like the hard drive. You can update the RAM. You can update if you can pull out the DVD drive. You can put a Blu-ray drive in. But it's just they're very inefficient.
So is the laptop not something you would have then?
If they
On
weren't,
this-
if they were improved, when I saw laptops, I went, "Wow, this is cool."
Okay, well, let's just say it's these modern day laptops.
Yeah.
So what would you choose from this list then, or something else, if you choose the other option?
A latest model of something. I'd probably go the smartphone.
Interesting. Dwayne with the smartphone, huh?
Well, I have a smartphone, but it's just
It's not a very smart smartphone.
it's a 5S. So,
Yeah, you're kind of behind.
well, I'll get a 7S when Pat gets all the bad ones from his people.
Okay.
Hey, man, I
Because
have
Trina's got a 7S.
I
and
still
we're
have-
gonna have to upgrade hers.
I still have my flip phone with my charger sitting in with my SIM card sitting in my bathroom in the drawer. So if this ever goes out, I can reactivate my flip phone, my Razor.
Yeah, I mean, my pops had his forever before we gave it to my sister. Man, he had that thing for, I want to say 20 plus 25 years maybe? He kept that thing alive that long.
Yeah, it's just it serves its purpose.
It does. It does what a phone does. You know, that's all you need sometimes. Okay, so the next one then. List in order your preference of types of games to participate in given abbreviations, which would be, I'm not going to say the abbreviations, but pen and paper RPG, which would be like Dungeons and Dragons and all the other stuff we were talking about earlier. Game of chance, dice focused, like Yahtzee, for example. Resource management, this would be like Settlers of Catan. That's a resource management game.
World of Warcraft is a resource management game. The original World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
I mean Warcraft, because World of Warcraft is an MMORPG.
No, the one where my guys go out into the woods and they hack down trees.
LARPing?
No, it's an online game. It's called Warcraft. And you
mean like the original Warcraft?
Yeah.
World of Warcraft though is
World of
MMO.
Warcraft is an MMO.
Yeah. So
I remember the old Warcraft.
like
yeah.
Warcraft. Yeah. So yeah, that'd be.
You actually had to build things and do things.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
annoying because
That'd
you
be a
can never
resource.
build.
Resource management game.
But the thing is, I hate resource management games. But in MMO, in Lord of the Rings, and in EverQuest, I'm a crafter.
Yeah.
And what's that? There's freaking resource management, and it's a grinding thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can put that down at the top of your list if you want. There's also cooperative objective. This would be like Pandemic, if you ever heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's some other games I played that the names aren't coming to my head right away.
No, any of the Cthulhu games really.
Yeah,
are
that's true.
cooperatives.
And you got PvE competitive objective games, which would be
Dominion.
yes.
Yeah. Catan.
Catan is also considered one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other smaller games. Can't really
Ticket
think
to
of.
Ride.
That Robin Hood game we were trying out.
God.
That was actually a PvE objective game,
Yeah.
competitive objective game.
Yeah.
You got PvP competitive objective, which is, more directly you're competing like a Ticket to Ride. I would say
yeah.
that's directly
Yeah.
PvP, but objective orientated.
Mm-hmm.
You got multiple choice, choose your own story. That would be like choose your own story books, or some other sort of deal. I mean, if you talk about video games, that'd be like the Telltale games like the Batman one,
Mm-hmm.
Walking Dead,
Or
Game of Thrones.
Or you don't know
Jack.
You don't know Jack.
That's trivia. That's not, you're not unfolding a story. That's just trivia.
Red Dead.
Red Dead,
anything
yes.
that really has a story to it.
And you have multiple choices, really.
Yeah.
Although this was specifically more for like non-electronic games.
Yeah.
Zany party games.
Twister, Sorry.
All what are they called?
Um,
Cards Against Humanity.
Eggman's.
Cards get humanity.
Apples and apples.
Yeah.
Pictionary. Yeah.
So these ones you guys.
She likes playing that so much.
Who?
Who plays apples and apples, or actually wants to play apples and apples?
Well, I typically play cards, but
Top of your head, who's automatic?
Regina.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she's more. Yeah, it depends.
So you got Batsu punishment. Yeah, that's more of a Japanese thing where like.
I understood it. I never played one of those games.
What is it?
They're fun. I wish I could just whip it out and show you right
An
now.
extreme form of it would be.
You basically
The extreme. You ever see the one that what came to the U.S.
Silent
used to be-
Library.
No, Takahashi's Castle.
Yeah. Well, but that's the same thing. But
But
yeah.
it's like you run through these punishing things. Like
There's different ways to do it. Basically, you have something small that's quick to do,
yeah.
and whoever fails has to do an additional thing, which is usually very unpleasant.
Yes.
So, Silent Library, for example, I'm not talking about the American one.
Oh, okay. I only know the American.
The American one is based off the Japanese one. Just take out the money, basically. And here's what happens. You have, like, guys are sitting around a table, and there's a bunch of cards face down. One of them's, like, the old maid card, basically. Whoever gets the old maid card does the punishment game, which is usually something like you get kicked in the ass by a kickboxer. Like, that's originally what the Silent Library that came to the U.S. was based off of, was that skit. And so there's another one where, like, there's a whole bunch of funny ones. There was one where, like, this guy had to squirt wasabi stuff up his nose. Yeah, so it's like, they're usually fun to watch, but they're probably not fun to do.
Yeah, and MXC. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel for a long time. It was one of our favorite shows.
Oh, okay.
MXC. It was a Japanese game show, and they'd have these things where you have to run through the mud and.
Oh, I've seen that.
Oh yeah, it's called MXC. In the U.S., it was called MXC, and it was just.
They had
hilarious.
one. They had this Japanese one that was always on this one Asian channel that was on TV.
Japanese games they're interesting. You could never get away with them here in the States.
It
No,
was
like,
kinda.
there was one. Here's one that, like, this is like.
Started with an E, I think. But basically, they would do. They had these girls dressed in these little bikinis, or
It sounds very Japanese so far.
and they'd have them do these different stunts, and you're going, "Oh, that's gotta hurt," you know.
Yeah. Actually, it just sounds like a Japanese show.
Yeah.
But
A
it's like-
punishment game would be like you have to do a tongue twister while you're standing over this machine, and if you fail, it hits you in the nuts. That's like a punishment game.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Puzzles. I mean,
Not a puzzle person. I can do puzzles. I can help with puzzles. I don't do them on my own.
And then of course PvP puzzle, which.
So anyway, yeah, mine. So yeah, PPRPG, CO, PVEO, Chance, PVPO. Now Chance is a cool one. There's been a lot of little games. So there's a gentleman that makes his thing is, it's a game in an Altoids box. Can't be any bigger than an Altoids box.
Pretty small.
So it's like one of them's like Dice of Crowns.
Okay.
And then there's another one called Pirate Dice. And there's little dice in there, and you have to roll them to do different objectives. But everything fits in a container about that big. I meant to bring one, and I forgot.
Next time. Maybe we'll have Pat.
Yeah. But I mean, they're fun. And there's like an easy way to play the game, and then there's a more complex way to play the game. So.
I looked at the next question, and what do you think? What do you think is was my first response?
You wanted to circle the very first thing, is my guess.
No, number
No.
9.
Oh, number 9. I was looking at the next one.
Okay, don't say anything. Don't say anything, Dominic. What would you say that came to my mind first when I looked at that question?
I really don't know. I mean,
Let's see, I wonder if I have it on my phone. I have it on my phone. I just thought of it as soon as I saw that.
This is the Monty Python thing. The movie.
What is best in life? To
the
crush your
Conan-
enemies,
the
to
Conan.
see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of their women.
The Conan scene.
Yeah, you didn't do the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice though.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, you just here it is.
Yeah.
What is best in life? Your good step, free thoughts, falcons at your wrist, flint in your hair. Wrong! Fire! What is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of the women. That is good.
That was tempting. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah, but I just read that and I said, oh, what about that? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go soon.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, we saved the end of the world one for when Pat's here then, because that one actually I think would take longer, and this one took longer than I thought it would. I thought it was.
So what's your number?
Fast.
What's your number 9?
Basically, help your fellow man and be an example.
Yeah.
You know, I think that everything else kind of comes along with that.
I wrote to make a difference and be considered worthy.
I'm not worthy. Worthy of what? Worthy of what?
It's all different for different people, you know.
That's true. Oh, okay.
The best part of waking. Oh God, is Folgers in your cup?
Hey, only if Folgers sponsors us. Is that the answer? Otherwise, it's redacted.
In my case, it's going back to sleep.
Oh, that is an option. It is the next option.
The best part of waking up is
Typically, I end up getting woken up
going
so
back
early.
to
It's
sleep
like,
and snooze alarm. Breakfast, exercise, get out of the house, getting out into the nature, work. Life being full of possibilities. I will circle that one.
Life being full of possibilities.
Yeah.
Dom.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
very positive thinking.
Well, it's life is what you make of it. So
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Jeff,
Okay. Yes.
have you ever? And it's different if you have the day off.
Okay.
If
yes.
you don't have the day off.
This was clearly intended to not be a day off day.
Okay. You wake up and you can either, and it's raining outside, you can hear the rain, coming down,
You make me
and
not
it's
wanna
nice
go
and
to
cold.
Work. Yeah, you make me not want to go to work.
Okay. And you can crawl back in bed and you know that you can fall right back to sleep and be asleep for another 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Easy. Without any interruptions, you're going to be back to sleep and rested.
Yep.
Okay. versus being on a day off, and I just don't have the same feeling. Like, I'm laying here, God, I gotta get up. Oh, I gotta go do this. I better go do this. And it's like, it's not like, it doesn't have the same
Urgency?
No.
It's when it's forbidden, it's more appealing.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's like, I couldn't, if I went, like I say, it's a day off, and I'm going to wake up, because I've done that at the time. I'm used to waking up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 every day.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Okay, but if it's my day off, I would love to sleep in till 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I won't.
Yep. I have that problem.
But if it was a day that suddenly I said, screw it, I'm calling in, I'm going to call off work,
And then you
and
go
I'm
back
going to
to
stay,
sleep.
I'm going to go
yeah.
right back to sleep, stay in bed, you know?
Totally done it before. Like, I won't say how long ago, but I've done it before.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a long time. Number 11's tough for me because it's really the first three.
Yeah,
The
but
most important
but
quality
you
in
have to
adulthood.
choose the most important one. Like, it's coming down to splitting hairs in this. So number 11, just to clarify. Number 11, just to clarify. The most important quality in adulthood is, circle 1, responsibility, self-sufficiency, knowledge, shrewd decision making, popularity, material possessions, spirituality, appearance, career, or your future. Now, to me, most of these things are what makes you an adult. But I am looking to see what the player chooses is the number one thing.
Okay. All right.
Pretty fast decision making there.
Yeah.
Looks like you chose material possessions.
No.
That was funny with you.
Self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Decided to copy Dom.
Hmm?
I did the same thing. But self-sufficiency requires knowledge.
Not really,
Pretty broad.
because
Again, I'm going to fall back on the Heinlein standpoint. What should a man be able to do? There was 100 things that every man was supposed to be able to do. And you can look it up. The Heinlein's lists of things that a man should do,
huh?
be capable of. There's 100.
Huh? Never heard that.
I'm very much
Robert
a fan
Heinlein,
of,
the writer.
Yeah, I'm very much a Heinlein fan.
Stranger in a Strange Land.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Red
yeah.
Planet.
Yep, Friday. Yes, the whole. Yeah. He's very much a philosopher.
E. Doc Smith.
Not so much. I wasn't a. Then you can go like Philip K. Dick and that.
I've only read a little bit of Philip K. Dick.
I'm not a. I preferred the Heinlein standpoint because even though he was a humanist,
Robert Zelazny.
Heinlein was a humanist, but still maintained the mandate for a sense of morality.
There was a one of the stories of Robert Heinlein is a actually a fringeworthy story.
Okay.
I don't know if it is Stranger in Strangeland. The one where the guy becomes at the end of the book, he becomes the ranger, and he travels through gates.
No, that was you're talking The Cat Who Walked Through Walls. There were 3 books that are actually part of that. The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. No, Stranger in a Strange Land was basically he was a man that grew up on Mars, came to Earth, a religion built up around him, and then ultimately he dies at the end of the story. So yeah.
No, because this one, this one.
I literally have every single book Heinlein ever wrote. So
yeah, because I read Red Planet. I read Red Planet.
Suit Will Travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but
yeah, The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. There's actually 3 books.
I know
and
there's
then you have the moon is a harsh mistress.
yes.
Which is also semi-related to that.
What's the number?
Yeah.
What's the
Anyway.
number 12? Well, there's the other one that this one guy that was one of the other guys I used to game with. He was always into it. The guy was a mechanic, and God, it was one of the kind of a off Philip. It's kind of like it had the kind of craziness of like Brazil.
That's okay. So
Gaiman.
that sounds like Neil Gaiman.
It had that kind of quality, but he was basically like a repairman.
That's the moon is a harsh mistress. The main person is a mechanic.
No, this is a. Well, how about Fred Saberhagen in
The sword.
Berserker?
Oh no. I got really picky over time on what my science fiction was.
Oh, okay.
When it came to fantasy, I was more of a classical.
Book of Swords is good. Town
Yeah,
Saver.
that
Town
was okay.
Saver.
Yep. Yeah,
Frickin' Town Saver is the frickin'.
And it's hard to find that book now. It's almost
I
impossible.
have it.
To
I
find.
actually have the book.
Yeah, I know, but finding it, unless it's online, you can't find it.
Yeah.
Anymore. The Book of Swords. Yeah.
Basically,
find.
Vulcan, the god Vulcan,
Okay.
from Roman mythology. It's Hephaestus in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
He makes these 7 or 8 swords, and he gives them humanity. And Town Saver is kind of like
The guy who saves towns from the
It's the ultimate sword of a defense.
basically
It's
you
a
take
defense.
it, and every story of anybody that's found Town Saver, it comes to them in a time of need, and basically the guy who has it cannot die
Okay.
until he's killed the last person that's attacking the town.
Okay.
And when he does that, he's killed everything, then he dies.
He just dies.
And the sword just disappears to another place that needs the sword.
Okay. Sounds.
But what it is, it's kind of one of those
problematic.
things. It's once you gain it, you realize what it's for, and you can either accept it and accept your fate, that you've been chosen by Town Saver to save your family, your friends, your way of life, your country. You're gonna save, but you're gonna sacrifice your life.
Or.
That's just saying. Or you can just disregard it and run away.
And you live?
Well,
Did anybody ever do that?
no. Most people,
Most people?
the only stories that you hear are the ones of the people that actually
Save towns?
save their people, save their towns, save the settlement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, especially with the sword of defense, and every sword had its own thing. But in the case of the sword of defense, if you accepted it, you basically knew you were going to die.
Okay.
It was like, again, it was the ultimate defense, but then the price was, you will save where you are, but you will die.
Yeah.
In the saving act.
So we're at the path of the hero.
So.
Okay, so
Very
12.
interesting, very interesting. So, if you could be anything and have an open path to pursue said career or role, what would it be and why?
I actually have 2, and they're both equal.
That's fine. Go for it.
First one was holistic doctor.
Okay, holistic doctor. That would be like
A
Eastern medicine,
Well, focusing on natural remedies. I would put it
natural
that way.
remedy. Okay, so not synthesized medication stuff like it grows in the earth. Let's use that.
If we actually maintained the old wives' tales and actually dug down and found out why they actually work.
Okay, so for you, it would be building off of a more earthy sort of medicinal practice.
Yeah, maybe. Again, yes. More, because holistic medicine has a tendency of looking at things as a system.
Yeah,
Because I'm a big fan of systemology.
makes sense as an engineer
Yeah.
of sorts.
So, why systems work the way they do. And holistic medicine tends to look at the body as a system versus pieces, parts. So if I'm taking medicine for a kidney issue, well, why did my kidneys get there in the first place?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. Let's look for root cause versus the symptoms. The second thing is a prototyper, because I just like projects.
You like inventing stuff, or you like
Yeah.
working on them?
Both.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
Working and doing prototyping. Yeah. So, those are my two.
Dwayne, you're scribbling away furiously.
I would probably go back to when I was graduating high school, and actually I would have chosen the military career.
Okay.
Basically, one of the other things was to make a difference, and it would continue our family tradition, which is military participation.
Why didn't you, out of curiosity?
It's kind of similar to when I was going through high school, and when I had an opportunity to go into football, because I was a big guy in school
You're still a big guy. You make me feel small.
but we had a lot of our teachers, the ones that did the football.
Yes.
They were you weren't going to be doing football for your betterment, for the school's betterment, for the team's betterment. You were only there to do the school for the coach's benefit.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
gross.
His whole thing was, how can you make me look good so I get a better raise, or I get a promotion to work in some other place. And we had a whole group of people, some of the bigger guys in school. We would play flag football. We would playing football at school. And the coach would come by in this little electric cart, and he says, "Oh, you guys want to play some football? You got to come out to the team." And we went, "Oh, cool. Who's the coach?" And the coach would just look at us and go, "Me." And we went, "Never mind." Because Coach Dow was ex-Marine.
Okay.
And he was an ass.
Oh, that took a lot of thought just to say he was an ass.
But that's basically what he was. He was an ass, and he didn't realize that what you're trying to do is to motivate the kids and better the kids' enjoyment and future.
Yeah.
And some kids like football and it would be a springboard to some other thing, but it would help some people focus. It would give some people the camaraderie that they're seeking from the team atmosphere.
Okay.
But
so similarly, these feelings kind of translate over to military
well, I
as
had
well.
military. My father was in the military, but I had disagreements with him when my parents divorced, and it just. I mean, I scored 98 percentile on the ASVAB test when we were taking it in school. So actually, when my brother went in the Navy as a hull tech, he came. The Navy rep came over, and I'm just sitting there having a cup of coffee, and the Navy rep's talking to my stepbrother, and he's going like, "Oh, whoa, yeah, you can do this, and you can do this." And his score on the ASVAB test was 38.
Okay.
And that is crap.
I was gonna say 98 versus 38.
So he basically goes, and he says, "Oh yeah, you can go in the Navy, and you can go in this and hull tech." And I said, the guy, Jeff's. This is my brother's name is Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff's, dude, he's really smart, but he can't take tests with the shit. But you give him something mechanical, you give him something, he can just, he's a whiz at stuff.
He's a tinkerer, not a test taker.
Yeah, he can't take tests with the shit. Not that he can't learn to do it, but it isn't his strong point.
Yeah, it's not his thing.
So he actually went into being a hull tech in the Navy, and they said, "Oh, well, my brother Dwayne, yeah, he took the ASVAB too." And the guy's flipping through his little report, and said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Dwayne Fox." And he looks at it and goes, "Oh, yeah, I see here." And I said, "Oh, what job can I do?" And he says, "Anything in the book." And I said, "Really?" He says, "Well, I would say probably not submarines." Looking at me, because I was tall.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I've been on a sub before. I know. I went up to San Francisco to the Poblano, the diesel sub, and tried to get into that thing.
Yeah, not fun.
And I didn't want to be in a sub. It's claustrophobic.
Yep.
Does that list on your fears? Claustrophobia.
I didn't do it. Let me.
What about underwater? What about underwater claustrophobia?
Well, it's claustrophobia. Is claustrophobia. It's
I put claustrophobia there.
yeah.
Well, it's like, have you ever seen Sanctum?
No.
Ooh.
What is Sanctum?
Sanctum is a group of cave divers that go, they're in like somewhere in Central America, and they go into a series of caves just before a big storm happens, and this river diverts and
man.
goes over their campsite, and basically floods their rescue point, and it collapses the entrance point of their caves.
And they're trapped in the cave that's filling up.
Yeah, well, their cave's already filled. Is filling up. There were certain points that are high, but they had like these rebreathers and they had other stuff, but they couldn't get out. You have to watch. It's the guy who plays
What year is it? I can look it up.
2004 maybe 2005.
Okay. I'll
The
look
guy
it
who
up.
plays Reed Richards on Fantastic Four.
Lost me. I'm not into superhero
Oh, the guy who
stuff.
plays Hornblower on the BBC special, Hornblower.
Mm.
I'll look at
Yeah. If you ever want to watch a good British naval drama, Hornblower.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are a lot
Yeah,
more at
let's
the
just
boats than
say
me.
this thing didn't score well on the old Rotten Tomatoes scale.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I've watched movies that have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes I thought were garbage.
It is. It's like that movie Descent
I have seen Descent,
with the girls in the cave.
and I've seen the sequel. Not great movies, but they're okay.
Have you seen the movie called Ruins?
Maybe. I've seen a lot of scary movies, Dwayne.
Ruins is the one where a group of teenagers go into a Mayan temple in Central Mesoamerica, Central America.
Okay.
And what there are in the whole temple, the temple is infested with carnivorous intelligent plants.
Oh, I have not seen this. I do not
And-
remember that.
They basically live in this cave,
The plants.
the plants. And what they did is, because they don't leave their cave, because the villagers that live around there send them food in the hand of cave divers, cave searchers.
And the teens are just stuck there.
No, they get.
They feed the plants food.
They're feeding
The villagers feed the plants.
by sending people into the cave to explore the caves, and the plants.
Do the
attack.
plants know this?
Well, the plant. I don't know if the plants really ever know it, except that the plants can mimic.
Are the plants?
They know.
Are the plants? Are the plants allergic to light?
No.
No. What about heat?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah, they used to leave the caves. They're mobile. They used to leave the caves and go hunt for things, but to stop it, the villagers realized that as long as they send bodies and food into the caves, the plants don't come out. And the creepiest thing about the movie is that one of the people has one of those cell phones, that can go long distance.
Like a satellite phone?
I don't know. I just know that it's one of these cell phones that can go long distance.
Does it look like an '80s cell phone?
Again,
Slash
I
old
haven't.
school walkie-talkie?
I've only seen little clips of
Oh,
it,
okay.
and basically, you hear that they're in this cave, and they're just about to get out, and this person hears this ring,
No wait, this does sound familiar. I think that happened. Yeah.
and they basically say, "Oh, our phone! Oh shit, we found she had her phone." And at the end, he goes into this cave, goes and hears the sound, goes around, looks on the ground, and sees the phone, and he picks it up and it's broken, it's shattered.
Yeah, the plant was making the noise, right?
The plant was making the noise.
Okay, I did see this movie. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I don't know why, but I remember it was like they were in a dark room and something about like the light. One of my exes, not my last one, but one of my exes was explaining like, dude, if you, I think they were using like a lighter or something. It's like that would put off a lot more light. Like movies really, you know, they're bad with firearms. They're also bad with lumens. They don't represent how light works naturally at all in movies.
Mm.
So
Because it's a tension thing with
yeah,
you
it's
barely
a
see.
it is. It's a scare tactic, but no, like light is a lot brighter than it is in movies typically when you're in like dark settings.
Yeah. But
So yeah, that was the personality one. We need Mr. Patrick to take that too. Maybe I'll do that without you guys, so I don't have to go through the pain of that. And then we'll do the end of the world quiz together. That will be fun.
okay.
So that one's a lot more comedic. You know why?
Why?
Because every question starts with "It's the end of the world." Like literally, every question starts that way.
Yeah. We didn't need my books.
We actually did not end up citing anything out of your books. I thought we would. Like I thought we would pick apart certain.
Let me go
Rules.
in case the best see. And we didn't pull out the critical hits or fumbles.
Nope, no need. Okay. Man, he must have been holding that in. That was loud.